Sheep, imagine getting onto the Autobahn and keeping up with the vehicles traveling on the road
It's true.
just by using the power of your mind.
Yeah, that sounds pretty nice. And we should be live. We are live. Look at that. With a
Right.
nice black screen in
For
Matrix.
mine.
All
It,
right.
it it might be illegal to run out of gas at the Autobahn, but your brain does not take that.
You know, I've got days where it feels like my brain has run out of gas days ago.
Hmm. I could see why then you wouldn't want to teleport everywhere.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to be sheep. That's what I'm getting from
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Have you ever just wanted to turn off your brain and walk?
Imagine being able to just walk anywhere you want with feet. That's turning a hole in the head. Grass really is greener. I'll walk around.
Oh. Hello?
Yeah, there was a cutout there.
Yeah,
Grimace.
I think Grimace just cut out.
I said boo.
Oh.
Ooh.
Like, so there would have been a natural cutoff.
It just sounded like "buh,"
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
Discord's
less
voice. Yeah,
expressive.
yeah. Discord's voice activation was like, nah, doesn't need to be continued to transmit it, and it was correct.
Yeah. We found very little actual meaning in this.
Yeah. Can you imagine if it started like coming with like commentary in your ear?
Your friends don't need this cutoff.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can't believe you said that to them. Cut off. Wow. Not yet. Couple years.
I mean, the Discord employees already say that. We just can't hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I wonder if there will be a day in this campaign where Westgate doesn't look like a mess.
No.
Westgate
Probably
helps
not.
not.
I mean, it's
Then it will not be a Westgate anymore. There'll just be a hole.
it's been less crowded in sessions past.
Well, now the Red Wizards are. Yippee.
It's not the West. It's not just the Black Fleet of Fae. It's also that the Night Masks, as the Westgate nobles, now actively have a slot in the city.
Yeah.
And Manikai actually removed the icon representing it, enlarged it, and put it in the city.
Yeah. It seems
then no.
thematic.
They used to have such a bad time, and now they're all big on it and on top again.
Well, there's no leader of the city right now.
Officially.
Officially, unofficially, there's no leader of the city.
I'm sure the nobles have other.
Officially, unofficially, there's no leader of the city. But the nobles, Grimace.
You know, once this little situation is dealt with, there will be an election and they will pick whoever they want. You
If a
know,
noble ever says the word election to you, you throw him off a building. There's something wrong with him.
be elected for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
We will love him.
That's right. Elected for life. Wink.
As many times as it takes.
We can't vote against you if they can't vote.
Oh, yeah, you can vote. It's fine. Just doesn't do much. People know
It's just let them turn in like a sliver of paper. That's fine. Make them happy.
It's a formality. Grants legitimacy at least. But should we have a recap? I feel like someone should do that.
Yes, I do believe it is my turn.
Good.
Thus I have taken some note. Yeah. Last session got a lot of new. before we started murdering everything there. So I'll start. Well, just from the beginning, really. We start the session by getting to know that Anglespark is currently now warring on Termish. It is time, and yeah, that'll be happening for a while. So far, they're sort of just fighting with no clear results, but you know what? It's going on. It's exciting. He's gonna be the heir to the Termish throne. Well, he is, but he'll succeed. Other news, lizard folks are now swarming the plains. Well, huh, I think both the Wormheal, the Temple of Ogmaron, literally, yeah, that just entire area. And they're on a holy mission for their chosen. Take a elven tome in the Temple of Ogma. This was revealed to us by the purple dragon that was previously mentioned. Velignus spent a lot of resources trying to find this dragon, and oh yeah, it's an illicit tentacle monster dragon, which you know is fine. Some people are not bothered by it, and that's okay. Yeah, the dragon is pretty pissed, telling what we basically have figured out that it's the Death King sending these lizard folk on another chosen fake mission for itself, and they would very much like to cooperate, maybe to get rid of the Death King. Though it seemed like what they were gonna do is let us do it and then maybe reward us, which yeah, we'll see if that comes to really anything. But Ligneth went to the Cicatrix after having talked with Emmy and the whole situation regarding that being Cicatrix going to a lair against Emissary's recommendation. And the Cicatrix then, after having almost been scolded by this very young red dragon, went to apologize to Emmy. And we finally saw the grand green pyramid to the green dragon Emmy, and also that Malor guy, which was very meticulously built of incredible materials, a giant pyramid that will surely stand for ages. Emissary manages to finish an very old project for Aboleth Poison by getting help from the priestess to the goddess of poison. And I mean, if that is not no effort wasted, I don't know what is. Taking this project from very long ago, and seeing it done. Nathlan still plagued by vicious beasts and continue to be skipping their turns in all initiative because they are having a shit time. The Red Wizard fleet arrived to Westgate, and as we just said, allied with the nobles, and also have the Cult of Bane with them. The Red Banner host, they feel like they've gotten enough out of Westgate, and really seems like there's about to be trouble here, and so they left. And the city is now free of their terrors? In the mountains, the old giant structures have been ravaged, destroyed, by two risen over leaders on a holy mission also. There's a lot of holy activity, really. Sponsored by Mr. Death King, undoubtedly. In the Cicatrix area, there started to be murderous trees, which he tried to figure out what on earth those were about, and ended up just chasing them back from where they came to the valley again. You know, maybe we'll figure out what that is. The Emerald Enclave is slowly unifying, just as Emissary so much wanted. Under all the threats of the region, there's the Symbian big threat of eternal darkness. There's, psionic disturbances. They're possibly linked to the spell plague, blue flame. Very exciting stuff. And I do believe that the black blood is now integrated into the enclave, and they have, grown another size up in strength as well. Soon to be wielded by emissary leader here, undoubtedly. By the end of the year, poor Velignus could still not find there, and the three dragons head to mysteriously and totally not Vesicatrix's old lair to fight foreseen Aboleth. There they were met with a nice surprise of giant squid. Emmy cleverly trapped the Aboleth poison inside the lair and sealed it with a bag of ice magic item. Very creative use, and as a result, the Aboleth was weakened, which was very fortunate because it was still a bitch to kill, and we did manage to win, and can now, I suppose, go into the new Aboleth old Vesicatrix lair. Oh yeah, Emmy also paid back Anklerspark since she owed him a debt for going into helping in the woods by transforming into an eagle and terrorizing local cities, telling them that he was there, transforming into a green dragon and telling them that she was there for Anklerspark. They valued their lives, they would not get in his way. And very cleverly did manage to pay back her debt without actually really going into combat. And that is my note.
Congratulations, Harry.
What on? Not dying? Thank
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with
you.
it.
Thanks. Survive another week.
Yeah, our goals are still filled up and well, all there, same.
Kill both
So,
cheaters. So
are
close.
there any you wish to get rid of? I suppose that's the question.
I don't think so. Not that I would suggest.
No,
was
I'm a
considering
fan of my
mine.
goats.
I was considering one of mine. Considering
And
Padua,
enlisting the
but
aid of the Shadowvar to find an alternate route to the ritual site?
yeah, they're not really doing anything these days.
Well, you're not doing anything with them these days either.
Well, tried, and they were like, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I think I'll keep it there, hoping that the goal about exploring this very layer that we're now standing out will be finished for next time. So yeah, I'll keep it for now.
All right. Then it's one of those rare occasions where we're not starting at the end at the beginning of a year, but rather
Alrighty.
right into time.
So we go back to the surface to take our short rest before we head back down there to finish the lair. Ari, you want to bring up the whole like tree thing now?
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that. Yeah.
How about you articulate that in character so that I know like the
Yeah.
kind of in character response to give?
Yes. It's winded. She will look to the two other dragons. Oh, I have encountered some more odd habits from, I believe, your old valley. Some enchanted trees that seem to want to lure prey in to then viciously feed on and devour turning them into land, zombie, undead, something. It looks, yeah, really confused. She hoped the hags would know. They don't know. She'll add, they seem to burn well, but they are a real pain. I had to throw a lot of minions to just get them to move, never mind drawing. Would I suppose you would have encountered. They are a rather large group. She like looks from one dragon to the other.
I think Veligno throws Emmy like a glance that says nothing and too much. Bit of an eye
I mean,
roll.
I mean, Zori Leader through her part is looking at her minions as they come with like wheelbarrows of dead bodies, and little gnomes come running to like buff out the like all of the water that's dripping off of her scales. She lays down so that she can eat as like they begin to like clean her body meticulously. Between like the body of like a dead prisoner, because she doesn't want to like to have struggle for meal right now. She looks at her cicatrix and says, I know the situation well. Once she pauses, she shakes her head and says, when we four, Velignith, Tilraxos, Veristrix, and myself, emerged from the tomb and into the Serpent Valley, we encountered a representative of the Emerald Enclave, a druid by the name of Amrath, who has since now died of old age or in service to Malar. I befriended him, and he provided assistance. He was searching for spell-scarred within the region to slay them. We dragons took care of that in the valley, and so his services were not needed there. After we resolved the Serpentine Earl and his hill giant brethren, and expanded beyond the valley, we were introduced collectively to a gathering of spell-scarred near the dilapidated, she snorts, ruin that is Worm's Hamlet. A congregation of cultists seeking refuge and home from Cormyr and elsewhere on the Dragon Coast that continued to expand and expand, thus drawing the attention once again of Amrath, who was alone and struggling to figure out how he would slay the spell-scarred cultists. Through rituals I am uncertain how he performed, he transformed trees so that they could travel, and so that they hunted spell-scarred and devoured them. Ultimately, these trees were of some use, but not complete use. Velignith destroyed the bridge that separated them from the camp, and thanks to my manipulation, the town of Elm and the spell-scarred camp destroyed each other. Their armies, anyway. With no travelers in the region, and no spell-scarred around, and Amrath's attention drawn elsewhere, the trees were left to their own existence, such as it was, in the decades since. However, what you have articulated is not entirely of Amrath's doing. She breathes in, like crunching of bones. Like she like wiggles like her body, and like one of the gnomes like almost like goes flying off of her. She says, "So, Elm," and she looks over at Velignith pointedly. Elm was a village that's since now fallen to ruins, a meeting point for adventurers, which often ended up becoming their home. There was something special about Elm, something I tried to learn about, Elm had a seductive quality to it that lured the weak-minded there to love it and live there forever. Velignith wanted to destroy Elm for his own reasons, and ultimately he ended up doing just that once Elm no longer had an army to defend it. Once all of those adventurers and the elf patron of the tavern there met an unfortunate and tragic end against the Spellscarred. However, I received reports from my were-rats testifying that something still lurked there beneath the ashes of Elm. I did not go to investigate myself. I had no interest in seeing Elm's destruction, let alone the aftermath. Considering the properties that were at Elm, ones I felt myself when I infiltrated the town and spoke with inhabitants directly, it stands to reason that whatever was there beneath Elm has somehow integrated with Amraph's creations.
Hmm.
They're tree-like in nature. I could not profess to understand the specifics, but that simply must be what has occurred, for Amraph's creations could not do everything you have articulated.
Yes, the hags. I thought that they would know about, well, that sort of magic. They divined something about a gold heart, that it was, they were almost cold to it, as this elf, well, elm you talked about, it seems.
Yes, the rich golden ale of Elm. All who consumed it would feel a tug within their breast to treat it as their home.
Yes, and the presence you mentioned beneath Elm, I believe I saw firsthand, although I was not particularly keen facing it at the time, since I was alone. And I didn't understand it, so I simply left and let it burn.
Missouri rapidly blinks, having not heard this part, and says, "Then whatever was beneath Elm, perhaps having created the giant tree which served as anchor, managed to survive its destruction, and through means, somehow, has merged with Amraph's creations."
Yes.
As there are still no travelers in that region, to my understanding, I do not see how those carnivorous trees would be hazardous to you, provided your minions are intelligent enough to not head that way. If
Well,
indeed
they
they
are
can serve as a deterrent against anyone who
and
might travel.
moving. They are not just standing. They are apparently. I'm not sure if they're growing or just migrating, but they are moving.
Of course they are moving. They are hunters who need to eat, and there are no travelers there, so they must go where food is. As I do.
After I consider it after I had moved there. I was pondering whether I should try and, well, it is very risky to move. But if there was an easier way of doing it, moving them to say hello to all the new lizard friends.
Missouri says, "It would be a distance, for sure, the other side of that lake. They would
Yeah.
either have to travel north past Worm's Hamlet. That bridge, however, was removed by Velignith. Otherwise, they would have to curl south across the well-traveled road that I helped to create, connecting Naflan with Redensir. But then the bridge that's there is through Redenseer itself.
Yes. Well, for now, I have chased them back. There is, though, some kind of magic in them that can be this persuasive to even, well, I don't count the. She like waves a claw, like so-called adventurous as much, but even the hag mother can feel the tug. It must be a very powerful thing indeed. Well, and this Amareth is nowhere to be found.
I conveyed, and I will repeat now, that Amrath is dead, or either from old age or in service to Malar. It has been several decades since we first met him. He is no longer among the living. Even if he were, at best he could only provide a partial explanation. For his creation and what you've described are not the same.
Would help, though. I suppose you could maybe find some similar druid.
She snorts,
Take a
I
look.
will not. I have conveyed to you their purpose and their existence.
Yes, but that does not help in any way exploiting them. There are no spell scored in my area.
She says,
If
there
you
is no
cannot-
druid who could help you exploit them. That should be up to your cunning mind, yes?
She like grins. Well, I suppose I could start poking around in the zone. Very well.
By all means, though, if you'd like to announce to others what there in your region, I'm sure there might be all sorts of curious explorers and adventurers who'd like to learn more. I didn't think you wanted to attract that kind of attention there, though.
No, I do think that I should go with the druid.
She says, no, even by... You're not seeing this. If that is an unnatural thing, if it were a hazardous and dangerous thing, if perhaps it were influenced by the far realm in some fashion, and you were to see about tugging a druid, you might get more attention than you bargained for. But please, don't listen to my warnings. It wouldn't be the first time.
Indeed.
You're not welcome to come prowling through my territory, though, and searching for one. Faerun is vast. Find your own.
Oh, of course. Well, for now they are gone. If nothing else, they can be burnt down. I can try and see what that golden hoard is.
And Viseri points a claw at Velignus. Have you considered asking the expert on burning down trees?
I did. Though he seems. I have not seen him much these days. Busy. Again, for now they're another threat, but yes, if you would want to do a joint venture, or, well, I suppose, burning things. I have little expertise, but, well, I'm sure I could learn.
I am willing to help, and also I doubt your last statement. However, it is not wrong that there are a lot of things currently needing my attention.
Agreed.
I will make time for this, however, if you simply ask.
Yes. Well, it is not urgent. How do you feel about all the lizard folk? There are awful many.
Yes, they are. I will have to tackle that particular topic rather soon. I want to
Not
first
joint
find
venture.
out what exactly they are after, though. I have a rough description what they want from the Temple of Orgma, and I'm hoping that they are sensible enough to not only find the document, but also tell me the exact contents. If it turns out that the contents are irrelevant and not dangerous to us, which, quite frankly, I doubt, why would the Death King want them if they weren't beneficial to him and therefore dangerous to us?
Or they are dangerous to him and thus, well,
Exactly. Either way, they are something I want. I intend to have some of my lizard folk perhaps attempt to contact whatever remnants of the actual original tribe still exist in that amalgamation of lizard folk this fake prophet has made, and perhaps at least introduce some doubts into the legitimacy of all of this, although I suspect it will not be entirely successful. But I do want to see how much I can exploit my past good relations with the tribes down there. I've done trading with them. I've even given one of the tribes not insignificant gifts. I hope that might be an advantage I can take out of that, but in the end, what is required will be forced.
Do you believe those down there will even remember you, Valignus, given their lives?
I suspect they will not remember me on an individual basis, but I'd like to think I've left an impression. Their profit is based on some absurd knowledge, absurd history that dragons are somehow the enemies of those lizard folk. I suspect some of the passed on more recent history regarding myself and perhaps even us might conflict with that and therefore be, well, a conflict that, quite frankly, I don't see this going to be very successful, but it's worth a try before I attempt to solve this in a more direct manner.
well, again, as I stated, they are also a problem for mine. So, though I have not had many dealings with this, well, if it comes to force, there's like a toothy grin. Like, I might do.
Ideally, Valignus, the situation should be resolved with ending up in the Ogmites either in your service or my service. The knowledge they contain is too valuable to leave isolated out there in their temple for much longer.
Oh, I absolutely agree, and I suspect that I do want them to realize what would have happened had I not intervened. But it does mean that I will have to intervene and do so successfully.
Perhaps we can wait and keep an eye on the lizard folk until they are just about to launch an attack, so that the Ogmites may feel the full threat of what would happen were their temple to be sacked.
Yes.
These creatures learn best by accumulating individual experiences and writing them down, so it's important for them to witness the failure of their service to their god before they are saved.
If the Ogmites truly had the full favor of their god would have never allowed me to have an influence.
Missouri shakes her head rapidly in confusion of Malignant.
Well, we are just. What? I mean, they're. Even God, I mean. There are limits to what they should see.
I'm done up here now. This should have been long enough for the poison to disperse. Let us head back down.
It's just while I've had this talk, she's just been like manicured and
Absolutely.
like rolling around with a tummy up so someone could like rub
No,
it.
there's no rolling around. Please do not treat my character like a dog.
A cat. Does it eat them when they do it? Touch the belly.
When you, sorry.
I've got more of an image of like Cleopatra or something.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the more correct attitude than treating my dragon as if it were an animal.
Like, moving a little bit so they can, massage you more. Like,
No, Eri.
no.
No.
No massage through the dragon claws.
I just want you to treat my character with respect, Eri.
Sorry.
I'd like to think Vadigna was just sitting there literally steaming.
Good. I do like that image. The dragon furnace within his belly just causes the water on him to evaporate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the Cicatrix does not look very comfortable here. This is a horrible place to be, really.
Just on the coast, hanging out in the middle of the open, daytime.
Well, I mean, water's great normally, but this is not great. This is not great location, and also there's like crazy apolis around.
That's the paranoia for you. We slew one. There's more.
So,
So
just when you return to the star mental map, if you've left, remember to spend your healing surges that you might want to spend during your short rest.
I've taken care of that. I'm at 13 of 16.
Unreasonable 16 healing surges.
16. I am on full health? Question mark.
You're at 120 of 128, and you're missing a healing surge. And also your action point.
Am I looking at the wrong token? I am looking at the wrong map. Okay, that explains it. Yeah, I didn't really take much damage as far as I remember.
No. I got thumped a lot, and where Cicatrix got thumped a lot that year.
Yeah.
As it should
Hmm.
be.
I was just thinking, like, what a change of times.
Yeah.
It used to be like, oh, it's been a fight. Malignant is out of healing surges.
Maybe if Malignant had been the one who was getting mind-fucked, but he wasn't.
I mean, the thing is, Valigna can just decide not to be mindfucked. Or at least, can decide to not be a lot of things.
Right. But
If he was dominated, he wouldn't.
It's true.
yeah, like if the Aboleth like dominates you, then that's not the choice that a Malignant would make.
But
But also
checking off dazes is pretty easy.
he's a lot hard to dominate. my hefty will of 25.
Yes, it is very much for Cicatrix's weak point.
I see your will of 25 and raise you my reflex of 23.
Yeah, I just hovered over the token. I was like, 23.
Yep.
Ow!
It takes pride in never
What
dodging.
Man,
And that's with a shield equipped, right? You still have a shield?
I do
Super
not
to get
have a
rid of
shield
it.
now.
That's right. I remember. The
That's
shield
fine.
does nothing, and so we got rid of it.
Yeah, you can dive back into the water and see that indeed the slime has sort of dissipated.
Dragon awkwardly cheats her way through the water using the magic cloak. Get down to near the mud where all the fighting took place.
Yeah, Apple's sort of slightly still, its like back end is stuck in the mud.
Hmm.
It's just being blown around.
She squints at the mud, looks over at where Cicatrix, and gestures for her to go first.
yeah, the signature was later past that. It's not gonna drag that thing out.
The mud is thick enough that it's sort of like you sort of got to claw your way through, but you know, it's not like,
Used to be
not like a
perfectly
problem.
nice mud. You know,
You can make your way through to the other side of the dimly lit cave with a strange, different light that Besiktas remembers. It seems that in the time since the Aboleth was made aware that it had been discovered, it has made a few changes. The first is that as Besiktas enters, there's a faint humming sound, almost like many voices all whispering at the same time, because it's unhearable, and perhaps in a language not understood by Besiktas. Beyond that, you can see the beginning of, well, what is a black stone sort of obelisk built in the far end of the chamber. Beyond that, a pair of green glowing crystals seem to be sprouting from the ground, rocks. Around them and the obelisk, there is a strange haze, sort of a purple miasma.
And Missouri looks questioningly at Valignith in the water, not sure whether he'll want to follow after the Black Dragon or whether he wants to go last.
Oh, absolutely wants to follow.
Sure. You can dive through and will be met by the same sight. Well, he's never seen this before. The lair is fairly spacious, full of some nice sort of luminescent plants. Probably breaks down salts in the earth. There's a nice big area of slightly sandy dirt where you can sleep comfortably, and generally lots of room here above water. It sort of has a water lock, though the air is very stale in here.
well, this looks different. Even last time I was here, there were no green crystal for that obelisk thing.
What is that obelisk?
I don't know. That's why I'm still over here. She like stares at it like, oh, I don't know.
Does anybody want to follow? Or?
Probably it'll take a minute. I think her hesitating, like looking at the mud, finding about like how much work it's gonna be for like her to like shoulder through that.
Yeah, no effort wasted, right? Like the others will come back out here eventually, so you can just wait, right?
I'll take that compulsion, absolutely. If Missouri like looks at that and like, I mean, it's just gonna be like a tiny lair, right? Everything's already dead in there. I won. I put the poison. Fuck it. She like doesn't lay down, but she just begins to like swim around. I think she'll prod at like the mud every now and then, like, oh no, that's too hard. I don't know.
Sort of the non-Newtonian fluid thing where it sort of wobbles.
Yeah, no. Missouri doesn't like being down here. No. She'll
You know,
make sure to.
two dragons didn't manage to make a clear hole to dive through. I don't know. That seems like a lot of work.
Right. Like she did mud diving before at that other asshole Black Dragon's lair. This is harder. She kind of froze it for a bit. She'll just spend her time hacking apart the Aboleth. That sounds like a very useful like point of attack.
Only
Devil is douchey.
for destruction is the truth revealed, right? Let's smash that aboleth.
I think it will slowly move forward. This could be some kind of ritual site.
Could Villeneuve have a think from a distance to see if he, I don't know, recognizes, knows anything about
Sure.
things?
Yeah. You're not a psionic based character.
It's true.
So for you, it'll be just an arcana check.
All right.
Can we do an arcana check?
Yeah.
31. That's pretty good.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah. This looks almost like something you've kind of seen before. It reminds you of some of the stuff that was done by the other Aboleth. You never really faced it, but you sort of saw some of this sort of thing in its general environs. The crystals that are sort of humming, certainly. It reminds you a little bit about the whispers you heard when you were near the Sharn, the Spellscott kingdom. It's that sort of whispering of multitudes. Beyond that, you think these green crystals are probably psionically powerful. They're, in a way, batteries to lend power to the central thing, which appears to be some sort of perhaps communications device capable of transmitting thought directly into, well, some sort of greater consciousness.
All right. Villeneuve will voice his thoughts.
Like a bigger sort of sending dome.
Perhaps.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon would happen if we tried to destroy the crystal?
Well, it's only really
Yeah,
one
only
way
just
to find out,
real.
right?
I couldn't even get through that.
Well,
Right.
it sounds like Ares compelled.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
so I was thinking about what would happen. I was like, well, this is.
I'm taking it. William's gonna
There's a very easy way to find out.
prowl forward with an eagerness.
Yeah, the Cicatrix not.
Maybe smash one of these crystals first.
Sure, make an attack roll.
It's on the way. 33.
That certainly connects, and it answers as basically as soon as his claw touches it. There's a shock in his mind of psychic fire damage as sort of blue flame leaps from the crystal, sort of running up his leg and claw, and scorching across his body, leaving marks of soot. He's dazed and takes ongoing 5 psychic fire damage. Save ends both.
So I believe
Crystal seems not to take really much physical damage.
Okay, I think I had that question before. If something is a combined damage type, you need resistance against both, alright?
You need resistance against both.
Yeah, alright. Things get zapped.
The fire keeps burning, like flickering across him. That's the ongoing damage. Beyond that, he feels his mind is weakened, made opened. It's likely that the Aboleth might have been able to use these crystals to draw power to itself, or even to unleash this effect upon nearby foes. As it is, though, it seems that as long as he doesn't touch it, it can't really get.
Alright, well, he's gonna shake off this effect. You know, it's just fire. It's weird fire, but he knows how this works. And then he's
Blue
gonna
flame.
take a step back and show this thing what real fire is. How's it like this? Yeah.
Breathes fire all over it. Just a shimmer in the fire as it reflects. They certainly begin to glow, like hotly, as you would expect any stone to do, but they seem to take as much damage from it as a stone would.
I think Strix will like the cowardly dragon she is, like here around him with her like unnaturally long neck, and like slowly move up, seeing that it seemed to at least not work out of touching range, and I suppose she will breathe acid on it.
Again, you spray it all over it, but it seems that this is not susceptible to acid. Now, perhaps with enough force, you could shatter it. It seems to have quite a high ceiling for that. Beyond that, you're not entirely sure that just shattering it would actually stop it. Material seems to somehow be condensed thought. Some material from perhaps outside this realm.
Well,
The two dragons look at it. We can't destroy it. They're like, I don't know what to do now.
I mean, if it's a weird material, maybe it can be studied properly later and used for things. I like new materials.
Well, from what you said, it seems like it's some kind of mind nectar, though.
No, that's the obelisk, most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Malignant figures that if he could make a weapon out of this sort of thing, it would be, quite a weapon.
Yeah, how about we leave these crystals? We can maybe wrap them in leaves or something and carry them to the fane.
I'm sure the leaves will stop the energies from the far realm from hurting you.
Couple layers of leaves ought to do it.
Where's a handy haversack when you need it?
It's true.
You get the bag of holding and just start looting leaves. Some nice mud.
Yeah. I mean, the next target is going to be this obelisk.
As Malignant moves within 5 of the obelisk, he is dazed. As there is an aura effect, as he feels his mind begin to be... It's almost like he's... this thing doesn't ask before it begins connecting him to whatever it's signed up for. He begins to feel intrusive thoughts, not directed at the moment, as if whatever is here is unaware of him.
It's going to be aware real soon.
Oh my god.
And we'll smash into this thing to see what happens.
He strikes it. Well, as he makes himself known to this thing, a very rapid change in its behavior. Suddenly foreign thoughts, millions of them, stream into his mind, images flashing, sensations, sounds, perfectly recalled feelings of all sorts. Now, if you were just play a character, a human, I would tell you now that your mind is erased and that your sort of skull and brain is made instantly, pretty much, made a clean slate that something, whatever is here, could fill with whatever thoughts it deemed appropriate. Remake you in its image. However, dragons are not mortals. And more importantly for the game's effects, they're not humanoid. Thus, the blast of telepathic thought has a sense of hubris to it, as if this would surely destroy anything that would attempt to tamper with this device. Whatever beings made it could not imagine another being being able to survive it. As it does strike you, some things stand out to you. Things that you might pick up in this torrent of random things. You see a massive eye opening in the deep sea as a reflection of the sky burning blue explodes in the surface above. You see a black and terrible crack in a giant crystalline sphere surrounded by darkness, as tendrils reach down to widen it. Beyond all, though, there's a sense of hateful superiority, a desire to bring the spell change to siblings, and knowledge that if only all their kind knew the power the blue flame could bring, then none of the others would hesitate. Their time is now. You see, these things, he will realize, the Aboleth, they remember everything that has ever occurred to them or to any of their ancestors with perfect clarity. Within this psychic minefield is a historical record beyond any found, really, on most of the realms. Not of spoken words, but of sensations, of actual experiences. You can reduce yourself down to your bloodied value and hit.
Oh my god.
All right, I've had worse.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my health? There it is. Does trying to smash it do anything?
Yeah, you make like a gash into the thing, and out of it comes like a strange, like hollowing, wailing sound.
All right, I mean he'll keep going.
Beyond that, having seen these things, there's the possibility to glean more from it. Right now, it thinks that he is dead, or cleaned, or whatever. He was an intruder, and he's been dealt with. However, the gash he has made, well, things are spilling out. Whatever weird thoughts and sounds it is, he's not psionic. He doesn't really have the greatest ability to figure it out. But there is a lot of knowledge in here, a lot of information. I mean, the Aboleths have clearly been watching this place for a while. Who knows what they might know that you might want to know? There might be a unique opportunity to, say, make a skill challenge, attempting
Following,
to glean information from them.
yeah, following with the theme of, I think that you satisfied the compulsion. Like, you revealed the truth. Now it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
for perhaps, like, pursuing a skill challenge to interpret that.
It might be a unique situation to claim information. It's also a unique situation to say no to that, because he might feel this like haughty superiority stemming from this thing, but he's got his own version of that. He doesn't need like secret Aboleth knowledge to succeed at anything. He is himself, and that's all that matters.
I do love that. Like, he reveals the truth and he rejects the truth. I do want to state that I wasn't trying to compel you again. I just feel like you satisfied the compulsion.
I
But
think it's just
no.
like seeing from one moment seeming to the other, but like Tiff is just like, I guess it would just be, is it visible that he's taking damage, or is it more like psychic? Like, it's not like she can see his.
He probably visibly flinches. I don't think
Yeah.
there's any like wounds appearing on him.
Yeah.
It's like HP are abstract, but there's certainly a
Yeah.
hesitation, a pause in his attack here. For he flinches back a bit. But yeah, whatever knowledge might be spilling out of this thing, he's gonna reject it. Like this is not a temptation he cares for. Like this stuff is not something he wants to be concerned about.
Well, to the best of the Cicatrix's knowledge, he just got zapped again. But like she knows what's going on. Oh yeah, and she's not a stab him. He said that they wanted to see if they could destroy it, and he's still trying to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, do it. I mean,
So did it?
I mean,
Is it like the other ones?
he'll like say without turning around to the cicatrix. This thing is a bit more voices. It's got an aura of things and words. I don't think you should come any closer. I will destroy this thing. Because he will, shake off. Get a bit of pick me up, and then keep going.
The cowardly dragon is fighting herself. She really wants to know, but also it seems dangerous. And if the red dragon wants
Well,
to,
well, if she really wants to know, didn't she come in here for answers pertaining to our ritual, Ari? What if this contains the answers?
well,
Wouldn't it be a shame if we came here for nothing?
but she does not know that. Like, Vindictive has not shared that there's any answering mechanism here.
No.
It's true. It's true.
So
She
for
has
her,
that.
it's just a stone that he hit, and then it zapped him. And
Yeah.
now he says, "Yeah, it's pretty dangerous. You shouldn't go close."
That
She's
makes
like,
sense.
Yeah, because I want to use it, but she doesn't know. She's
Yeah,
like,
makes sense.
yeah.
I mean, taking a step back, Phobs, I do not want to ruin an opportunity that one of you thinks would be intriguing, like from a player perspective. But I don't see Valignif like falling for something like this. Like it's not just an encyclopedia. It's like aberrant psionic magic that he doesn't want to have to do anything with.
Oh yeah, like my character and I feel the same way. I only posited that to Ari because I figured she might be seduced by the knowledge.
Yeah, but I was sort of also fighting that even if she knew, I was like, she would have to be the recipient. Like,
That
if this thing has perfect knowledge about what is going on here, like she doesn't need the others to see that.
Now,
Like-
that attitude might change if on a second strike, that obelisk retaliates again.
Yes.
And it does something different than trying to rewrite your mind.
We'll find
Go
out,
for
won't we? You know what? Valignif realized that physical force and even like his element might not be the most effective, but there are other ways he can do things. The Shield of the Gods is in fact force damage. That might do something.
It sure might.
As he will smash that into this stupid obelisk. Take some just power, really.
It can't, in fact, dodge anything. So, yeah, he strikes it. And it seems that whatever mechanism to protecting it is indeed expended. As he just crushes into the thing, breaking off like the top of it and sort of rubbling most of it. The hissing grows significantly louder to the point where it's almost painful. I think maybe even Imisuri can just hear like a very high pitched faint hissing. Sort of like if you were behind several closed doors, but you can still sort of hear that something's going on in there.
Great.
And maybe she could even feel like a psionic sort of disturbance.
Great. She looks from the obelisk, she's clawed apart towards the mud, and strong they're like, do I? I'm gonna flip a coin.
The Cicatrix moves back. She's like, "Oh, no!"
Ah, shit. Yeah. What if there's what if the cowardly black dragon was wrong? What if there's another thing in there? Fuck, I gotta go in there. She'll begin to slowly make her way through the mud.
And the best thing is she's like, "What if the cowardly black dragons?" And she enters to very much see the cowardly black dragon stand fucking 20 feet away, so long, far away from the person actually doing anything, just looking like.
She's taking her time with this one, though. Definitely not moving at full speed.
Beligny's intention here is to just destroy this thing, right? Make it stop whatever it's doing.
Oh yeah.
So the Cicatrix spins around when Emissary comes in, ready to strike, and then she's like, "Oh."
Well, I think maybe Imagery comes in just as Valignus strikes the final blow on this. The screeching is loud from all the cracks, as he smashes it again, it sort of crumbles to the side a bit, and some of it just stops and shatters on the ground, much like sort of very fragile glass in a way. As he can begin just crushing it. It seems that it was mostly hard on the outside, while the inside was, I mean, crystalline, but certainly not reinforced. As you can shatter the thing into bits.
Well, with a job well done, he's gonna turn around and look pleased with himself. Look over to Emmy entering, waiting to see if she pokes her head out of the water, otherwise talking might be difficult.
He emerges from the water, just like squinting at like this confined area underwater and underground.
You know, those green crystals look awfully like the ones that were in Star Mantle.
Yes, these green crystals appear to be perhaps defense mechanisms that the aboleth could have used. There's
Traps.
traps, although very shiny and obvious ones. And this obelisk used to be a communication device of a sort that connects your thoughts with those of others. They, I believe, are trying to convince the rest of their kind that the blue flame is powerful and good, but it appears to be an ongoing discussion.
And the Zurate waves a claw at the lair and says, "This is all from the far realm. Those crystals I saw, ones much like those within Star Mantle, before it became ashes." They would be dangerous, and I would be loath to touch them.
I can confirm that touching them is not without its dangers.
And Zurate looks at Versicatrix and says, "Have you found anything to suggest knowledge of Yaffle or our ritual?"
I have not yet looked around. I wanted to be sure that there were no other surprises. She like gestures to the crystals and the now shattered whatever that was. These things were not here even last time I met the Aboleth.
The Green Dragon narrows her eyes and says, "It stands to reason, Lee. The Aboleth would have prepared multiple defenses and contingencies. They are highly intelligent. We managed to outsmart it because it did not expect what we did. I will return outside out of concern that the destruction of that," she waves at the crumbled obelisk, "may have alerted anything else connected to it." That way we are not caught unsurprised. With like a disgusted look at all of this, she will head back down into the water and back through the mud, specifically to keep an eye out for anything that whose attention might be attracted.
So, Versicatrix, what exactly are we looking for here?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Menakai, like, where would
Well, the
like
Cigarix knows that this was the place she would rest, right? Surrounded by bounties and treasure. Now
like
it's
almost
covered in the fine,
certain
soft
that,
sand.
like
Used to be a bit of a mire. Like this is basically a slightly sunken area. Still higher than the water, but slightly sunken compared to the rest. It used to be full of like acidic drool and such, but now it's sort of dry and just dusty.
I didn't mean to do that, Malachi.
Hmm?
I'm rolling dice. But I rolled so that only you can see the result, which is not very helpful to me.
You rolled really well.
Rolled shit the second time.
Yeah, not so much in the second one. Yeah. Yeah. Cicatrix, why don't you roll me a perception check here? Or dungeoneering. I'll take either.
Yes. I was gonna say, I don't know that it matters a great deal to
You
say.
lived here. You have advantage in this. It's a +2.
Sweet. I need it. Because it was nicer when I lived. Let's be clear.
He looks around and yeah, there is some like scratches and lines, and maybe it's just, all this, it's like, you know what? I think what might distract the cicatrix here enough that it's sort of hard to stick around is that it just like this place brings back such bad memories, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Cicatrix didn't really know how it would feel to sort of have to be around here. Looking, you can sort of see the indentation of where she lay for several years. Sort of see like the body, so the shape of where the stone has been slightly ground down. It's sort of, you know,
It's a bigger shape too.
yeah.
Yeah. She like even her body is like sort of she's trying to hide it, but it's like sort of twisting and like can't really seem to be at ease.
She remembers the needles and the prodding. I think it's a situation here where going forward, she can't find it because she can't concentrate. This is some nitpick. It's been decades. There might be something, but she realizes she can't do this alone. She can't find it alone. She just can't, and that might frustrate her or anger her, or I don't know.
Seems like
Yeah.
it's fairly obvious that the Cicatrix is expecting to find something, but not finding it.
So you can find the sort of traceable stone, like the circle that was around her when she was here, like a couple things certainly that suggest, but can't concentrate.
Yeah, I think she's like sort of from starting in the middle where she was, she starts instead like going outside whatever circle she was trapped in, like the pyramid, basically following it pretty like even if she can't see it. I mean, she knows where that's the. She knows exactly where she could go and no further. Like, and she will like walk around it almost like patrolling, like, but not stepping one claw inside it. And yeah. So I see the line from around the ritual thing. She like looks nervously to it, like sort of trying to see if she puts something out there, if he can make sense of it. She's just like walking around.
I think right now, Villing is mostly observing like the Cicatrix with like a slightly tilted, investigative look. Not really investigating the rest of the cave, really, just observing. It's quite obvious that perhaps this the Cicatrix is behaving a bit weird and doesn't really. There's suspicions. She still hasn't sufficiently answered how she knew about this place.
She seemed to feel more comfortable with the crazy crystals. So, like she's not dodging like walking past the other ones now that she's seen that they don't directly hurt her. She doesn't really seem to care about them much compared to this area. Would have noticed probably in hindsight that she stayed in the water as well when he was up, like floating, but she was in the water. He was not on land when he was exploring the crystals and the obelisk. Right. Well. Yeah. God, I don't know if she would share yet. But on the other hand, she dragged them all the way here.
If there's anything Valigna's proven these days that he has patience, he can probably outweight her resolve.
Oh, yeah.
And Imizure, from her idea, is just going to be keeping watch outside until something happens, like, to make sure that no one, like, approaches to surprise them. And she has incredible reserves of patience as well, because she's a bitch.
Yeah. Right now, she just has to sit here. That's, survivable. Yeah, I think the cicatrix will, like, walk around for a while. Like, she'll be like a twitch in her claws sometimes. Like, she wants to hurl something, or or like a intake in breath as if she's about to fucking acid up this entire place. Which she then abruptly stops. Clearly wanting, like, being split between the feeling of wanting to absolutely tear up this place, but also somehow not being able to. And she looks, will slowly sort of start moving towards Malignant, and then she'll move around again. And this sort of is a dance that I think goes on probably longer than it should, and end up sort of being opposite the thing than Malignant. This seems more comfortable. Sort of, I guess if he is looking at her, she'll like look at him and then like see, like, meet his gaze. She'll like, yes, Malignant.
I didn't say anything.
You're looking at me weird. Not clearly very uptight. Like, it's clearly. Yeah.
I'm merely offering you the opportunity to consider our last talk, specifically the bit about there not being any reason to hide information. It's obvious that you're expecting to find something and not finding it. It's obvious that you are familiar with this place. I refuse to believe that you simply heard about it from some obscure source that you still haven't quite specified. Perhaps I'm simply imagining things, however, but it would perhaps be helpful to know about which particular dragon lived in this place, the history. We heard about Office Derelicts, we heard about from him about what was his name again? Zephyson?
Zethison.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you're talking about Zincerio Theriost.
Yes, that one. So that revealed a bit of information already without us ever having set place into his lair. Can't shake the feeling that this place is very not just familiar, To you, that is.
He's quiet for a time. She keeps moving her eyes away. Yet, like, the investigating look of Malignant still somehow is the most comforting thing to look at in here. Slowly walk around again. The, I suppose, seemingly untouched land. Closer to Malignant. Sort of, I suppose, weirdly close for it. Like, I don't know that they normally stand, like, just next to each other. There's, still. This was where my part of this curse started. That is why it is known to me.
I suspected something along those lines. Although I still have the question of why you would hide it. Or attempt to hide it, which obviously has become rather futile here at the end.
I don't expect you would understand.
Oh, make me understand. Suffice to say, I have concerns if you are not telling me things that are relevant to me and all of us. Knowing about this place, we could have investigated it much sooner, perhaps found out things beneficial to all of us. Perhaps you see this reminder of undoubtedly a terrible time in your life, and your first instinct.
At the word terrible time. And just look wildly at him, like, if you don't have the words to even fathom half of what happened here.
I don't need to fathom what happened here, considering I see in this very moment your reaction to it, which is description enough. Either way, let me finish. Perhaps you see this indescribable place that reminds you of an indescribable time, and your first instinct is to run away from it, to leave, to hide, get away from it. That certainly seems to be the case. Instead, it should be your motivation to continue doing everything you can to not only defeat what has been done to you and all of us, but also, obviously, to get the one responsible for it. A motivator, not a place of fear. A place, a tool to be used with the information to be gleaned from it, and not some locational boogeyman.
Which is why I have come.
It's a good first step.
I cannot. She grits her teeth, really hating having to admit that there's something she can't do herself. I cannot I can describe to you placements. Though a outside perspective on the site or the things that I cannot see it as it is. When I look upon it, and she looks out, and the thing is like maybe out of his side I can see like her like eyes just sort of bulk out. Like I cannot see what is now. Like,
I
I
think
see
I
only what I
understand.
saw.
Perhaps a question then to busy your mind while I look around. Do you think it is a coincidence that the Aboleth decided to make this place its lair?
When I woke from the slumber that I was, well, my death rest as it was meant to be, this area had greatly changed. The plague changed it. Well, after everything that happened, there was absolutely no way that I would stay layering here. Everything having been compromised, of course. But I there is something in this very scene. There's a big rift, an opening, and my mind could not fathom the horrors that I glimpsed when I looked. And I have not been in these waters for now. Since then. I don't know if the Apolyth chose this place because of me. I doubt it. It is a place close to what became the cursed Starman. In my time, it was, well, a city of wonder, of riches, easy to be exploited.
I think I understand. Let me look around then. As Litnov will, after probably like hours of just watching, well, maybe
As
not
I say,
hours,
like
but a
he will
while.
describe like, oh, there was the cycle. This is where the dragon lay. But at this point, he's probably figured this much out from just seeing her circle around it and like moving the claw in and then like moving it back. you know.
Yeah, well, Litnov will look around.
All right, give me perception, history, or engineering.
Uh,
The +2.
Perception and engineering are the same thing, so let's do perception. Plus
They
2,
really
you
are.
say. 35. That's
Yes.
about as
Oh
good
my
as it
god.
gets.
He looks around, begin tracing things. Recently, he's been looking at giant ruins. Well, sort of recently, within the last decade. And so maybe he's a little bit in training on how to find things like this. He
He
scouts
loves her.
about, and it's clear that there's been a ritual here, that something has been done. Some significance, certainly that it's been done over a long time.
So
Not
long.
much is left, though. It's been decades, and though there hasn't been much erosion, there is only really what was written in the stone. Equipment and such has long since been removed, and people haven't really been here doing magic, leaving no real aura or trace. That said, from the runes he can learn something. Would you give me an Arcana or History check, please?
I will give you an Arcana check then.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Also good. Yeah. You can see that the magic here is a mixture of traditions. There is a circle, it is a containment circle mainly, but there's also other things, clearly attempting to transfer energy of various sorts. Probably 2 stationary vessels, see if you can bottle a dragon or some such. Perhaps this is what was done after, well, another dragon was attempted to be made into a liquid, which somewhat succeeded. The runes are careful, and he believes they're not made by, well, they're not of one tradition. It's quite clear that the main part of it is Thayan in nature. He's seen Thayan rituals before, he's seen Thayan runes before. But beyond that, there's quite a few runes of another tradition. They remind him, he hasn't used them himself, but they remind him of what he saw in the Shadow Monastery so long ago. They had this sort of script they were using, and it is very much that kind of script. Clear that it wasn't perhaps just one person working on this, or if it was, at least they were doing it with the aid of someone else. At least one other person. Beyond that, roll that well, he finds an arcane mark, which is something that many wizards almost instinctively place as part of their work. It doesn't really go away unless erased, and can't really be seen for the most part until they detect magic. The mark is a unique shape, some sort of circle design, but it is unique to the wizard that has created it.
Okay. Yet Velignov will mumble his thoughts, made by Faians and some other party. A wizard left his mark. Should we find an equivalent mark somewhere else, we might be able to track him down. Perhaps the mark could be copied and shown around to your sources in Westgate who might know something.
Yes. I don't know if there is a way, but even if we could figure out how it looked, maybe there is a scrying ritual or something that could lead us to others. There were many. Like a big shudder goes through her and her eyes sewn out. This is snaps back. There were many people. Well, it was not just her. But, well, I don't know how we would know who left the mark. What if we could use it to find other signs? Her places.
Perhaps. At
You
least
said
if
there were other Thayan and what more? What was there? What?
Well, the symbols reminded me of a group we had contact with in the valley before they, were driven out for one reason or another. I would suggest you speak to Emmy about the Shadow Monastery. She'll know what I mean. I've never interacted with them much.
Hungrily at Velignov, yes. Is there any more to be gained, sir?
I mean, does Velignov think that he could maybe spend some more time to really understand the ritual that was done here? Or is these cursory, superficial things?
He could, should he return here and spend a significant amount of time here, certainly try to understand the different runes. Now, he doesn't He doesn't cast arcane magic. He's not a but he is a ritual.
Is that what Investigatrix does?
Yeah. So there is a background for it. So yeah, you could spend some time here trying to figure out exactly what was done. I mean, it's a fractured thing, certainly, but there might be something useful that could be gleaned from it.
Yeah. Lena will say, I think in the future I will return here and study these runes in detail. I suspect you have no objections.
No, I would like to attempt to assist. She looks around again. Maybe it'll get easier in time. She looks around like, I have recently acquired, well, acquired knowledge, some knowledge of the arcane. For this very purpose, I need to understand what happened, what he does. Breaking the hex. She just starts like mumbling weird like stuff of like half formed like I did that and this and oh that person and just yeah, like sort of incoherently confused old grandma.
Well, what better assistant to help me understand these runes than a previous participant?
She recoiled. Yes. Yes, indeed.
I wonder if there was a particular incident that made Yethel move from using live dragons to eggs. Us, basically. Myself, Emmy.
It would. Well, I expect it would be easier to deal with eggs. Seems like that seems obvious.
I don't know about easier necessarily. I suppose with the deal with the devils, yes, that would be easier. So much about this I still don't understand.
I must admit that her motives are of little importance to me.
No, not her motives, but her decision making. That's what I'm interested in. Her motives
He
seem
looks at him.
simple enough. She wanted power of one sort or another, as many do. So that's a mystery solved, but why do it the way she did it?
Slowly nods. Well, if we could find out, I suppose. I have mostly been trying to gain knowledge about a breaking point of, well, I suppose if we find the reason for the decisions, that would be another. She like clearly tries to understand, like there's another approach to, like, So, knowing the method, yes.
Either way, if you are done here, I suppose it's time to move.
Could you give me a moment in here?
Why?
I promise that I will not damage this or, well, go mingle with those, whatever they are. She like points at the crystals. I just, as you said, want to gain the proper motivation. She like slowly nods to herself. From this place.
If there's something you're still not telling me that you want to do while I'm absent, I will be very upset. Although, if you simply want time alone, I suppose that is acceptable. If a bit odd, to say the least. Feeling will like just stay standing there for just a little bit before he very slowly starts walking towards the exit, keeping eye contact with her secretaries.
All her worst days have been barren. Now she's called odd. That does not that means absolutely nothing to her.
So let's just, before you entirely finish in there, you've been some hours at looking around and being nervous and such before actually starting to investigate for real, even.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look outside. So Emissary has been. I mean, how is Emissary keeping an eye out?
Swimming around the area, probably like picking up the bodies, which I saw you delete, and just like chucking them like further into the water. She doesn't expect any predators to be around here, or really much in the way of like anything that would be large, because that's already been resolved, and we talked about that in sessions past.
Mm-hmm.
She believes that if there's going to be any response or investigation, it's either going to become physically or psionically.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be the attitude that she's using to keep an eye on this environment
All right.
as she
I
swims
don't.
to and fro.
I don't think. I don't think the things approaching here are trying to be stealthy. They're trying to hurry, if anything. As from the. It's like along the coast to the east. She will see basically two shadows move. They move much like you would expect something like serpentine to do, but as she glances at them through the sort of gray-green water, she can see that they appear to be made of twisted red flesh of several humanoids sort of melted together in some sort of amalgamate form. Um, moving very rather fast through the water with you know bodies made of several spines and torsos sort of latched onto one another.
Okay. She will raise her head and then lift her bulk up and begin to cheat swim like her way in their direction. If any creatures are foolish enough to challenge a dragon in a territory which she's expressly described as hers, then there's no mercy for them.
Mm-hmm. As she gets closer, though, she's not sure exactly how much these things have a choice in the matter. She can look upon them moving through the water. Swims 9. That's about what these ones swim as well.
Okay.
As they come in her direction, she will recognize them as certainly something, probably called here as additional, or rather to basically see what happened after the communication. Well, she doesn't know that was broken, but that's a reasonable assumption if she had been able to make it.
Okay.
They are unnatural.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. It seems that a large amount of people have basically been almost like dissolved and then sort of re-solidified. And this is sort of what came out of it. It doesn't really have limbs as much as sort of fleshy bits that can reach out. Beyond that, it has sort of again a mind-numbing tendency to it. Perhaps these are more things created by aboleths to make their victims easier to overcome mentally. Though she doesn't see an aboleth with them. It's likely that they have been out perhaps scouting or sent on patrol or some such. Behind them, creeping along the ground and such, are a bit slower couple groups of other twisted humans. These ones having their bodies ripped open in certain places, leaving sort of strange bluish scars upon them. These have slight bits of clothing and such, even though it's ragged in the water. She could identify that as being a sort of a Termitian culture.
Okay. I think the dragon's opening stance is nonverbal communication. Not that she wants to like speak, but she's also kind of like a lazy dragon, and so like she doesn't want to have to fight here, but she wants to make sure that like anyone can reasonably interpret if there's any reason in them that they're not welcome here, especially not in the mud. I think that's the approach through body language to go away.
They appear to not be paying any attention, simply beelining for the mud.
Yeah, she's gonna have to fight them then.
All right.
Can't ignore a dragon. I think that's in the book somewhere. There's like a pamphlet that talks about that.
That's like a first step. How to not approach a dragon. Ignore it. It's like, no.
Roll your initiative.
Yeah, I can do that. You can tell with the 9 there that they're not really hard. Heart's really not into this.
Yeah, I still think it's fair that you get first move. You've sort of been ready and looking out.
Yeah, sure. She like looks at these horrid, like aberrant, like creatures with their spell scars and blue flame, and like these should be destroyed, but it's the water, and still like very reluctant about that. All right, she'll like swim her 9 like this way. She'll look at like this entity. Let's see here. Do I have anything that puts me in range? It's a close blast. 3. Okay. Then I think what she'll do is she will breathe her poison of 4, which is just enough to hit that lasher. Just to, if they're not paying attention, she wants to really make super sure they're aware of the dragon. This is kind of like an insult here. 28 versus reflex.
Hits. They don't seem to be super maneuverable.
19 poison damage. And I think her standard action is going to be used, I suppose, to ready an attack using one of her at-will powers, should any of them actually close the melee of her.
It does seem like breathing poison at it has sort of made it twist and turn in her direction.
Good.
It seems to be non-audible, particularly under the water, but it is an aquatic creature, so it is perfectly at home here. Probably it's made to just telepathically converge. Beyond that, the ghoul things, they do seem to have the ability to think sort of for themselves. They're also a bit slower in the water. They will begin to close in, not really wanting to get too close to the dragon, ideally. Perhaps more capable scouts than the other ones. So this one got hurt, it will just move in.
All right. That'll be my ready to action then, which just want to check the rules of that. I choose the action to ready, chose my trigger. A ready to action is an immediate reaction. It takes place after your enemy completes the action that triggers it. So as soon as it enters range, she'll spend a power point on a augmented brutal barrage attack against the lasher.
All right.
It'll be a crit, a 32, a 35, and a 31 versus the creature's armor class.
All hits.
All right, that will be 28 plus 3d8 damage, and 36, and the creature will fall prone. She like spikes it down to the ground.
Down. I believe then it attacks with disadvantage.
Yes.
Or rather, it would. I think it'll just spend its action here to actually move up from prone.
Okay.
These will sort of here, and begins to squeeze into the mud. Missouri.
My initiative action would have taken place like, well, I suppose we're like in a weird sort of like initiative land right now. Oh, shit. I would be before Plague Change Lasher 2.
I really want to scout. It'll move here, and then it'll dash over here to avoid the guardian that's here. See what happened in there. So this won't basically begin moving through. Missouri.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Missouri Leaderthier is a cunning stalker. It's a reminder to myself as well as everyone. She has combat advantage against this Lasher too. In addition, she has opportunistic withdrawal. While she's adjacent to an enemy granting combat advantage to her, her movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks from that enemy. So, as a move action, she will thus move 1, 2, like this. And she's even flanked. As a standard action, she is going to utilize a torrent of psionic energy against all creatures within 1 of her. It's a close burst 1. So both Lashers and the Ghoul. Using her her Ego Crush ability, your strike delivers a torrent of psionic energy that addles your foe. And this will be a 2 power point augmented attack, which will take her to 8. Okay. So, 3 attacks. That 1 will be on the Ghoul that misses, and then the third attack down there is with combat advantage, so 44 versus armor class. 36, a
Both.
miss, and a 44 for 32 damage. And hits means the targets cannot gain combat advantage until the end of my next turn. So even though they are flanking her, they do not have CA.
She realizes that actually these things are much, much more dangerous when they have combat advantage. That's their thing.
Well, neener.
As they were just about to unleash terrible things. This one, though, it's up.
As a minor action, as I do have that, I will mark both Lashers, spending a power point to do so. That'll be the end of my turn.
It will reach out with a tentacle attack. Lash
Okay.
the dragon with its
Is it-
terrible.
Normally that would hit. However, I have Blood Iron Armor. When I hit a target, I grant a +2 item bonus to armor class against attacks from that target till the end of my next turn. It otherwise misses.
Then it misses, lashing out with a amount of mind-numbing tentacles made to lull victims.
And that, as an immediate reaction, as I have that, I will use my Persistent Harrier attack against Lasher 2. 32 versus armor class.
All right,
Be a 34. 20 points of damage, and she will teleport here.
it is bloodied as bits of it begins to crumble off. Again, they appear bulky and sort of fast, and they hit hard, but they are easy to hit. They are not in any way, shape, or form sort of difficult. Ghouls, though, see what's up. Who's here? this one will shift, attack.
I will miss.
Ghoul's got to do something too. It will provoke an attack of opportunity.
Okay. You can do that. I will have an ability to, yes, augment 1. I use my Ego Crush 1 power point, which allows me to make that attack in the place of a melee basic attack. 37 versus armor class for 18 damage.
As it tries
Spikes it
to
into the ground.
break itself apart and bite Immisure with a maw in its stomach.
Good.
This one will just try to claw then.
That will hit. Alright, 12 damage. That'll be 135 HP, and I'm pushed 1 square, so go ahead and shove me. Whee!
I don't know how much attention the others are paying, really. As, one of these things squeezes its way out of the mud.
The Cicatrix cannot be surprised. So
Mm.
I always pay
Somehow.
attention to everything.
the
Not
paranoid
surprised
dragon
that
knows.
the strange plague-changed person
Yeah.
thing
Been around.
screams out of the mud and begins to
And
rush
hisses.
just generally towards these green crystals. Amy Zure.
Okay, cannot provoke from Lasher 2, so I'll go ahead and move. I can shift 1 anyway for flavor. Whee! And we'll go ahead and spend 2 power points on another augmented Ego Crush attack against the 3 opponents. Like so. That'll take me down to 4 power points. That'll be a 29, 30, and 41 versus armor class.
Hit, miss, hit.
Damn ghoul. For 19 damage. And those hit cannot gain combat advantage.
Mhm.
And I think, given the performance of these ghouls, now we'll save that ability. As a minor action, I will gain 10 temporary hit points. That'll be the end of my turn.
All right. Well, this one will attack.
That will miss.
Cool. Here will swim and dash.
Yeah. Do we get to roll initiative?
Yeah, that makes sense. Why don't you two? Malignant.
He doesn't want to.
I had severe trouble finding all my unmute buttons. Okay.
And several layers of unmute. You guys will
It-
act from next turn.
It's reoriented me thanks to the auto shuffle. You have to put me above Lasher 2 again.
The one will attack
That will miss.
unintelligently. Not hitting super well either time, but they hit hard when they do, especially against people who are dazed. Well, this ghoul, you know, we'll just claw again.
I will also miss.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that they can deal force damage.
Yeah. The weird spell play claws they have. Malignant. You see 2 ghouls swimming in here as Cicatrix has moved. He'll be able to act for next. Maybe he's like, what the hell?
I was gonna say,
Oh.
the Cicatrix like hisses. Intruders.
Cicatrix gets to act.
Yes. Well, I mean, I see enemies.
Allows her to calm herself by assuaging her need for anger and
Because
violence.
it's like, yes, therapy right here,
That's right there.
right now.
It's like those rooms that you pay to go into and just destroy stuff in them.
You know. Yeah.
The green dragon does care.
It does clear. I will do a dragon breath, I think, as a minor action,
All right.
which would
Hit all three.
hit 3 of them.
Good. Do it.
Yes. There's dragon breath. Here it is. Oh lord.
Hit, miss.
Yeah.
Spray acid at once. Melting.
Well, that was
it.
an annoying one too.
Yeah. You have a
I
power that
guess-
allows you to move 2 before you attack, is that right?
Oh, that's true. Thank you. I
Yeah.
was like, oh no, what do I do now? Yes, I will Death Strike. Move 2.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad I could help.
Claire.
I remember using that ability in
That's me.
Summer of Fun.
Damn
Wait
Elder.
till you date.
What comes for you? Swing
Okay.
claw.
Ow. That's not nice.
It's got reach.
Oh. 12
no,
force
it's
damage and
number
you're
3.
pushed 1.
Yes.
Shoves you away with force.
Basically blasted away like a shockwave.
Okay. Let's see here. Nope, these creatures don't have anyone adjacent to them other than me, to confirm that. So I have combat advantage against them all. Woo! I will do a 2 power point augmented ego crush attack against all 3 of them. That'll be a 34, 30, and 36 versus armor class. That damn
This is
ghoul.
Cool again, yeah.
24 untyped damage, and the lashers cannot gain combat advantage till the end of my next turn. Like, squints at that damn ghoul. Move action. I think she feels fine here, since they can't get CA against her. That'll be the end of my turn.
Well, I mean, the lashers will do what they do.
That will
Strike.
actually hit out. So there's 2 Okay, 1 damage is against a dazed target.
So
All
it's
right.
just the
Actually,
first-
more against an undazed target at the moment.
So that's
It's technically possible.
No.
35 plus 10 minus 23. 122 is my HP total, and I am dazed. Save ends.
One of them actually manages to lash a hit strong enough to just
Yeah, break through the dragon's armor.
make some. Basically, like as soon as she's touched, her mind is filled with the weird gargled sort of screaming sounds of these people.
Not again! Ah!
This ghoul here sees a break for it. Ash over here. This lasher will lash my
Yeah, that hits.
18.
Well, I'm 27 damage against the dazed target. I'm dazed now, right?
Dazed, yes.
95.
Whereas they still don't have combat advantage.
So is that going to be 2 separate instances of me being dazed I have to save against both, or is that...
No, it's the same effect.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Saves can stack, but not if it's the same power. So the ghoul, I mean, he's been lucky so far. It's gonna try the God Maw, so attack opportunity.
I can't. I'm dazed.
True, so he just gets to do it. God Maw.
Just do it. That will miss.
Ah. Why is there 2? Oh. Yeah, that's a mistake in the macro.
The Gobma.
Do you mean you roll 2 plus 1d20? Like that. Like, crap roll. All right. Really good.
Alright, shit's happening. There's a ghoul over there. Going to the remains of the obelisk. He's gonna die.
It sort of stopped up as it sees it completely smashed.
Well, observe my work and die. Can't actually reach at him. Do I have a longer range attack?
You could like run in Sacred Flame?
I guess I could run, yeah. Let's run. Let's just get the hell over there and just... You know, you. 23. That's terrible.
Oh, Well, running is your movement +2, so
Oh,
not
it's
not double your movement.
8.
Yeah.
He
It
would
just
be out of range then.
Okay.
Is he in range of a dragon breath? I think he's
That's
just
a
Darn.
that's a
barely
6
not.
for you, right?
Yeah, it's actually longer range than the
Yeah.
sacred flame. I have to have an attack that is not a daily that reaches him. I do not. Wow. I mean, charge?
You could charge, yeah.
Yeah, do
Charge
it.
works.
Yeah. Note that the running gives you a -5 to your attack rolls.
Yes, it sure does. That's a 36.
that's still it.
It's the red dragon. Yes, witness my work in despair.
Crunch. These things are nothing to a dragon, really. Terrifying foes to some people, but you know. Cicatrix.
Yeah.
Is
He
your
looks
owl
back.
is in
Okay.
here.
Yes, this is done.
Hey, Misery.
All right. Standard action, my one action. I can also take free actions. I may not right now. I'll spend my final 2 power points on an ego crush attack against my 3 neighbors.
Mhm.
It'll be a 34, 42, and 41 versus armor class for 27 damage.
All hits. A golden
Finally,
mega
that damn
time.
ghoul.
The other
and
lasher is bloodied.
in my turn, successfully save against the daze.
Yeah.
Wheels her head around to look at the two, like horrid, like abominable, like constructions of like lesser creatures.
Lashes out.
Misses. Dragon's too tough.
And lashes out.
Misses. Dragon's too tough.
Like this. There's no more enemies in sight.
I mean, if that, he knows. Uh,
You
like
know.
if 2 or 3 enemies came in here, that means Emmy is either dead or busy. Probably busy. So he
You'd
will.
probably feel it if she died, yeah.
Yeah. So he will start swimming, and I guess he can double run swim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically.
Nothing
Sure.
stopping you from that, no.
8 and 8. That's it.
Alright. For Cicatrix. Similar
Airy.
movement.
Yeah. Yeah, the silent gets to work like being quiet and using like to try and slowly dig through the mud.
And 2 more. Ugh.
Well, you're not perfectly like in reach there. Like this isn't like representative of a perfect distance.
Into the mud, and then it's an action, or like a move to move out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Lower.
Hey, Misery.
Okay, I'll use my encounter power to regain a power point, which is not enough for me to nuke them both. All right, sure. We'll look at Plague Change Lasher 2, and we'll use that final power point and an augmented attack against Lasher 2. So 4 attack rolls. That'll be a 35, 40, 32, and 36 against
All
armor
hits.
class. That'll be 28 points of damage, and the Lasher falls prone.
Does.
Then, because she does not provoke, she will hauntingly swim around, not provoking, hoping that whatever is able to, like, see through this witnesses the glory and majesty that is this green dragon. So it'll be another return.
Slowly spins around, trying to hit the dragon.
It misses.
That elf is gonna try to go through the mud.
Okay, in and out of the mud.
Amazing.
You have a bonus action if you have one.
Let's throw a heal to Emmy.
She sees the like push himself out of the muddy
Sure.
trench.
Sure, I'll take that.
Also, as I've made clear in the title of the ability, I recently realized I get 3 uses per encounter since level 16.
Oh, that's useful information to
It
have.
is, yeah.
Huge.
143. I'm at 12 healing surges. I'm almost at full HP.
Oh, I got 6 hit points too.
It's all day. The Berserkatrix appears, having a standard action and bonus action left.
Yes, well, I will just do the classic that you were so graciously reminded me of. Oh, what in...
Grove, I think you missed 5 hit points. It should be plus 17.
Does the
Oh, your
36 hit?
healing surge plus 12 doesn't factor in the understood. Then
Yeah.
yeah, I'm at full.
You have advantage too. And that is a hit.
And we have combat advantage, yes?
Oh yeah, you're flanking. Coming out of the mud, lashing into it. Ripping and tearing for 40 some damage.
Yes. That's me. I don't have anything for a bonus action.
Okay.
Or minor action.
Unaugmented brutal barrage attack against the Plague Change Lasher. That'll be 3 attacks, 43, 43, and 40 for hits. That'll be 21 points of damage, and it falls prone.
Knocking it around in the water.
Yeah.
As it looks at all the dragons. Doesn't really have any computation for that.
And Missouri, like, looks at her 2 fellow dragons, like, there's a lot to say that she can't say. So she'll just shift here and end her turn. I said shift here, not suddenly move.
Yes. There's that in this dragon teleportation move.
It writes itself, and it's not smart. It's gonna just keep attacking you, Missouri.
That will hit. 24
Crap.
damage and I'm dazed. How much damage is that then?
Well, that is maximum damage. That is 24.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already 24. Good.
All right. Looks like what I'm taking. 123 and dazed.
It's definitely a crit, whether you like it or not.
It doesn't have a fancy crit weapon. Malignant.
I mean, Malignant will a Sacred Flame. 25.
Hits.
Amazing. 11, and Emmy gets to roll a saving throw.
Fails.
Damn.
Cicatrix.
I do not grant I cannot help you with flanking. I'm dazed.
That's alright. Oh, that's a crit.
It is a crit. Wait, that should have been max damage. It's 1 more. And then 30 more. Crunch.
What? But I didn't even get my offhand attack off.
As it gets ripped apart. Having no ability to move, splitting it into the many sort of twisted bone bits and flesh things that it's made of. Ending the encounter.
Missouri takes her next round, shaking off the daze, shoving the voices out of her head. Looks at the 2 dragons and gestures back down into the mud. Assuming they probably weren't done, because that was in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been waiting here for quite a long time.
Maybe we should destroy those crystals after all, if these things were gonna keep appearing. That whatever it was went straight for the crystal. Yes?
Green dragon swims away. It's not like she can hold conversations out here.
Malignant gives like a shrug. Like, the Cicatrix can talk underwater. Neither of us can.
Yeah. That's just my assumption that my sea shimmer cloak does not say you can also freely communicate. So no.
She just looks like expectantly at him for a second, and then she's like, "Oh yes, right," and then she's like, she'll, I guess, point in again, like,
Yeah, well, we'll head back inside.
yes. Once we're up on land, we'll physically repeat that. We might have to destroy these things if we want to come back here and explore the place. Or at least, I suppose. Well,
I suspect they simply headed inside to see whatever happened to their communication device. I don't know if they went for the crystals.
she looks pointedly at the corpse next to the crystal.
No, not a character that was going for the obelisk, and it got shoved into the crystal.
Yep.
From
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I also suspect that whatever, presumably other Eboleth sent those creatures now knows our involvement and what happened here, considering the. Well, I'm just guessing, really, but they're all connected and all that stuff. In short, I don't think the crystals need to be destroyed quite yet. It's not a priority.
It would be good if we could use them for something. They do look valuable.
I intend to, but I would like to find a way to transport them first.
Well, I suppose we shall come back at another time.
Yes.
She looks around. She doesn't. She'll like swim out again. You know what? She doesn't have to win this place anymore. She's over it. It's time to go.
No, you guys are still busy.
Yeah, this was like in the middle of our investigation.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, I thought it was. I was like, is this like when it was like, oh, maybe she'll just leave him? I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm done. Okay.
That'd be too convenient. Just didn't want to break up your roleplay.
Yeah. All right.
Wouldn't it have been awkward if one of us died in that fight?
Yes.
Retcon the investigation. Good thing that didn't happen, because we're dragons and we're awesome.
We are awesome. So awesome.
Alright. I suppose we do what we did.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Damn, now I'm down to 11 healing surge. I got an action point again. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 2 encounters.
Yeah.
A milestone.
Yeah. Milestone. Do you remember what those are? Milestones. Some abilities
Really,
trigger off of whether
honestly.
you have had a milestone that day.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah. We do what we did.
Takes a couple hours, but you're not further interrupted. Whatever things might still be interested in interrupting you don't have time to sort of show up. Whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah,
Discover the arcane mark.
I think we're done here for the time being.
All right. Then, when upon emerging and returning to the surface, what do you tell the green dragon?
Uh, Probably everything. I don't see a reason to hide anything.
Okay.
I think
And-
the Cicatrix will still like try and stay back a little, like stay for a couple minutes in the.
right. Like then yeah, they're like Volignith can be the one who can do that. And just to
Oh,
speed this along, then like
Yeah.
Nemizuri Leaders here will snort at the idea of both dragons coming back into her territory to investigate this, but she won't offer a further complaint. Nor will she make a comment that apparently this take used to be where Cicatrix is like a prior lair. Uh, and we'll only note that we'll ask what has become of the green crystals down there.
I tried to destroy one of them, but it didn't quite work. I don't think they. Well, they are dangerous. If you touch them, it's not good. I would like to study them further.
I'll say that Visa Leader strongly disagrees with allowing them to continue to exist. But she won't cave in the entire area down there because you two intend to investigate it further, and will reluctantly leave the green crystal alone. Though she can't protect that site, and something else might come and pluck them.
I'm not too bothered about the crystals.
She is.
If you would rather see them destroyed, then I suppose we can head down and try to find a way.
Nah, she doesn't need help with that.
Then feel free to destroy them.
She will.
All right.
All right, then that's the end of our year. We can go back to the main map now.
Ta-da! Back to the main map. Indeed. Yeah. Well, are there more things you wanna sort of do soon after, or is it? Does anyone have?
I'm going to enlist the aid of druids. They're like that, my friendly druids of Malar, who are like, I have no problem like transitioning to aquatic forms. As a
Mhm.
team effort, we're going to go down there and break those green crystals.
Yeah, I mean, it could be done pretty quickly. The druids will actually find that their methods of dealing with these things are not super effective. But Emissure will find that. I mean, okay, I don't actually know if she has a way to do that, but psionic damage is basically just destroys them outright.
Psychic damage. Yeah,
Yeah.
she can swing that.
Which might not be something you consider when you see a rock, but they seem to be pretty strong against most other things. But psionic damage is a definite, just it's a solution.
Makes sense. It also
Like it
gives her
would
an
break
opportunity
your-
to brag, so that these druids might tell others that, yeah, this was the lair of an aboleth. She resolved it.
Oh, no.
Aboleth Slayer,
They do not know much about aboleths, but
Yeah,
they know if they're very bad and that they come from the deep of the sea of fallen stars.
exactly. Well, she is badder. Yeah, that's it. I'm good to transition to New Year.
All right.
I would like to do one thing before we transition into New Year, which is basically, upon returning to the Dragon Fane, try to have my lizard folk talk to some of the great tribes lizard folk, as I've said earlier, to try to find some of the tribes that Velignith previously had good or at least any relationship with, like traded and such. And maybe, first of all, see what the situation is, and also try to sow a bit of doubt about the whole thing. Like
Okay.
basically, it's they probably rally banned the whole ordeal of dragons bad, but Ignis hasn't shown any of that. In fact, ask any of Velignus Lizardfolk, they've got great lives, I'm sure. Oh, Spy on Tribe made lots of money just sacking Elversol. The Sunseeker's got a home and responsibility and authority. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like so what do you want here? It seems twofold. You want to gather information and you want to influence.
Yeah, I primarily want to influence.
Okay, that's espionage.
Espionage is influence and treasure?
Influence and treasure.
Okay.
Right.
3, 1.
See if they can resist it.
I mean, surely, like, a lizard folk army doesn't. How do
So-
they have influence?
Double 5 cuts your ones, but you still got cut your 3s, but you still got the 1s.
So you could do it, but they'll know.
I'm fine with them knowing. Like, it's not like I'm spreading lies. It's the truth and nothing but the truth.
They have a lot of truth too.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 1, which means that it's sort of the barest of circumstantial successes. So he does manage to well, the lizard folk report back. They have found some of the tribes that you've made contact with. They found them because those still wear metal bits,
Yeah,
even though
exactly.
a lot of them have broken and such, and whatever's happened in the long time below. They were not super welcoming of Sunseekers. Apparently, there's still some stigma along with Sunseekers that they're not really part of the whole culture. Which of course Sunseekers is stupid, but yeah, they seem to have been training their behemoths, and there is enough to have some influence as he begins to drag and put his name out there that he is around here. Or rather, I mean, that's essentially what it gets up to. He exists. He's not super bad. The report back will be that it doesn't seem like the Great Tribe really is looking at him at all. They have their eyes fixed on this place up the river, which the Chosen believes is very important.
I suppose he doesn't really go out to gather information, but does he get an idea of what time frame the lizard folk are considering for the attack?
I made the token reveal to you here, but they're still gathering. So
Okay.
so next year they will begin to actually make moves.
Guess that leaves. Oh, next year already. Okay.
Yeah, we're literally in winter. Like we're about to
Yeah.
transition to the next year.
Okay.
I do have something I want to do at the start of the year once like news filters through, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
I reset the minuses on my company.
Yeah, we can transition the year
Hooray!
forward.
Fine.
As there will be some news this year. It is a sad day for all good, as the King of Cormier has died. His old age, he hung along as far as it could be, but he did not live to see a day where the shadow was lifted over Cormier. And now that he's gone, he's been a great presence. He expanded Cormier's influence onto the Dragon Coast and many of the surrounding lands, and made a true alliance with the elves of the Cormenthor Forest to the north. A true legendary sovereign, he is sadly now passed, and leaving lesser men in his place.
The epic tier king has fallen.
The year in Cormier is dedicated to the funeral. The national mourning. Yes. Beyond that, yeah, you're keeping a pretty good eye. Velignith will get word that a black dragon has apparently flown to the Temple of Ogma.
What? Okay. I mean, that's got to be investigated. I think he'll actually go himself, just to, you know.
That said, I do feel like I interrupted Grimace a little bit in what he was doing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Griff.
Yeah. So, the Missouri leader there doesn't know for certain what's going on with the tribe. Strong mentioning of a chosen among those lizard folk priests, though. There was an individual who had a deep vested interest in anyone purportedly having the divine blessings to be chosen. As such, um, we don't know how much of this in character wants to be done, but if there is a lizard folk priest who is chosen, then Cindermoon should know. And so she would want to inform Cindermoon that, obviously, like, the dragon can't know that for sure. But Cindermoon did ask that if there was any, like, rumor, like, the possibility that there was another chosen, so that Cindermoon could perform more magic, more experiments, that the dragon let her know.
Cinnamon is hard to find
Yeah.
these days. She has mostly taken the form of sort of a large panther, and has been prowling the forest, trying to not really fight the Nabanian sort of avatar on her own, but to corner it and keep it from basically harassing it, keeping it from ever having the time to do anything particular. The being itself seems to intervene whenever someone tries to do much of anything in its part of the forest. It is it certainly is a stalemate in terms of fighting. Neither, well, Cindermoon certainly not wanting to go toe to toe with it, if nothing else because she's not sure she would win, and because her death would most definitely be quite the crushing blow for the Emerald Enclave. Beyond that, she's not sure that destroying this avatar is necessarily the best way to deal with it. Might be another way, and whether to make use of the spark, much like your Mister herself considered. Upon being informed of the potential chosen, she will indeed be interested, and will for a moment give up her hunt to ask a couple of the druids to investigate. They can take the form of eagles and trees and things in the ground. They should be able to take a look and report back
Alright.
with what's required. Because she is interested if there's a chosen there.
Green Dragon promptly, just like after like the hard work to find Cindermoon, promptly like leave Cindermoon to do her work. Like, epic tier character, she's not all there.
Yeah. Sometimes she's out of the forest, sometimes she's here.
Yeah.
You know, she's involved in a lot of big things.
Yeah. All right. Well, like, if you can proceed with attempting to bully the Ogmites.
Yeah, but I was gonna head over to the temple to investigate this other dragon. Like, that's weird. Who are you?
Fly over the sort of the swamp and area that once was elm, and we'll see that there's actually a lot of campfires and the like down there. You can see like groups of large behemoths walking around, painted for war.
Yeah, he suspects he can fly high enough to be safe enough.
Oh yeah, no, it's no problem. So yeah, you can certainly go to the temple. Finding the village outside somewhat thin with people. At this point, a lot of people who had the chance have sort of tried to leave, though most don't. There's tales of centaurs to the north, lizard folks to one side and the sea to the other one. It's a mess. Tazir, that's where you want to go. But it's a risky road to take. Going here, he will quickly find a dragon. Indeed, it is not really hiding or anything. In fact, it is sitting at one of the watchtowers of the monastery. I mean, he sort of claimed it, sitting by the ballista. It seems very bored, as it sits here. This appears to be a black dragon, certainly. He's seen a few at this point.
He sure has. Everything will like approach slowly, making it clear that he's not here to fight, but talk. So do the what's the word? Body language.
Mm-hmm.
Before basically waiting how this other dragon reacts.
She watches him sort of lazily.
She'll approach and say, I suppose that you were contacted by the Ogmites about a particular type of research? Or is there a different reason you're here?
Dragon appears fairly young, less than 100, maybe around his age or maybe a little bit older, but not by that much. Sid looked at him and says, "Oh, I'm just here with a friend."
I suspect that friend is this Vago, then?
Gives a slight nod.
That is
He has gone inside.
interesting. I had hoped to talk to this Vago, but perhaps you could shed some light on this character.
I would much prefer to keep him in the dark, says with a slight smile. Though if it's information, I suppose this place is full of it. And you, so it narrows eyes and looks at him. I think I've heard of you. I thought perhaps you would show up. We have heard a lot of you. I thought you would be bigger by your reputation.
As far as comments go, I would suggest you choose a different one.
Oh, but it's a compliment, isn't it? You've done things that would make one consider you to be older than you seem to be. I mean, we are almost the same size, and yet I have done far less than I've heard you have accomplished.
I suppose it could be interpreted that way. Truth be told, I do sometimes lament the fact that I am not in fact larger. Think of the things I can do once I finally am. But while I don't mind talking about myself, I would really enjoy knowing... Well, let's put it this way. I expected someone very different to come to the monastery in the first place. I don't know what I expected. But it certainly isn't this Vago character with his interesting intentions, nor you as his companion.
Dragon smiles slightly and says, he has shown himself to be a character of tragedy. You see, his greatest regret is that he is not one of us. And he's doing whatever he can to be as much one of us as possible. He's taking quite a lot of personal pain to get as far as he has come now. And quite a lot of research has been put into it. Strangely, well, or I suppose it is not, he's not the only one performing such research. Or at least wasn't in the past. I have known him for most of my life. He's a wizard and an alchemist. And he understands he understands us very well.
I see. Suffice to say that once his work here is done, I would be interested in talking more, although my attention currently is quite precious, I'm afraid.
Well, I suppose you would be busy. I understand you have much to do. I mean, so am I, though right now I'm mostly just here. Daring sort of looks. It seems like it's happy to have a little visit. It has been not too interesting to just sort of sit here for a while.
That's understandable.
Really, I'm not as scholarly as some might consider appropriate for one of my position, but well, I don't enjoy studying.
Yes, that was part of the reason why I was so curious, why I'd gotten reports of a black dragon arriving at the monastery. From my, although admittedly limited experience with your particular kin, this would have been the last place I expected any of them.
They are without direction, though their ambitions are admirable. They don't understand that our victory as kind has already been predicted. We will rule this world once more. It's only a matter of time. And if we work somewhat on it, we can make that time sooner rather than later.
I very much agree.
Thus, I have no need for the throne of the Black Dread. It's twitching slightly. Beyond that, I am from a different line entirely.
You're not from around here then, are you?
No, further north, beyond the borders of Cormier. And originally, I suppose I was from beyond even then, a distant place near the Sword Coast. There's a great swamp there. I was, however, raised in the cult, you see.
I see. Well, I suppose if you find yourself incredibly bored in the future, perhaps you can visit the Dragon Fane instead. It is not too far from here, and travel via flight is safe enough still, despite the mass of lizard folk outside.
Oh, I acknowledge that. I would like that, yes. I have heard about the place, and I would very much like to visit. I don't think they need me here.
I think we'll, indicate with a nod that he doesn't need to talk anymore.
Good. I will stand up and get ready to leave with him. Quite clearly, like a little bit sort of, a little bit awestruck at that this is the Velic speaking to.
But
Sea
William
dragon.
will say, I'm not leaving quite yet. I still have to talk to the Orkmites. But shouldn't take long.
Oh, that's all right then. I will wait. So this lays down again, a little disappointed.
Yeah, William will want to ask the Orkmites some questions.
They're standing in the courtyard with looks of concern at the two dragons talking right next to their ballistae.
Now there's two of them. This is getting out of hand.
Deep furrowed brows. They're... this is not what those towers were for. Yeah.
Taste of the future. But yeah, the other reason why I really wanted to come here is to ask them whether they know what this elvish document is that the lizard folk are wanting. I believe he has told them what he knows about their target before, but doesn't know exactly what it is, and it would be very important to know what it is.
Hmm. I don't think we need to play that, but give me a diplomacy check.
I mean, it would be very, very important, like borderline uh, necessary for your survival and such.
And when you say diplomacy, you mean diplomacy.
Yes, diplomacy.
Hmm. That's pretty damn good. All right, it takes a while to coax it out of them. They really do not like letting people know anything without getting paid. And essentially, he has to agree to, that this is a favor of a kind that could technically be repaid in the future, um, since it's very important.
It's very important for you, not me. Well, for me too, but
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
that
say
doesn't
that.
really work, though. See, Agma is very particular about wanting to get paid. You don't do this because it's your best interest. You do it because it costs someone else something. Apparently, knowledge is only really appreciated if it was hard to get.
All right. Well, what the hell is it?
Well, it's part or several pages of notes. They're very, very old, and so kept in sort of a glass mantra. So be enchanted to not turn to dust pretty much instantly. It was very hard for them to get, but they've had it for a long time as part of the founding of this place. Gave them enough legitimacy and something to bargain with. It regards old ancient magic, meaning sort of pre anything, pre-human spells, really. Um, and has mentions and a very beautiful illustration that still holds up of something called the King Killer Comet. They don't know how they were made because, well, they certainly haven't visited the comet, but apparently there's quite an illustrated drawing of it and how magic might be weaved to connect to such a thing. And I think with draconic sort of forebearer knowledge, the name of that thing would shudder him because the King Killer Comet has been in draconic memory probably the worst thing uh, for dragons. Because an ancient curse was laid upon it that whenever it appeared in the sky, all dragons would go mad and kill everything around them. It was the cause of the dragon rage.
Well, that's pretty bad. So with this ancient magics on the scroll, can you just connect to it if it's already there, or can you like summon it sooner? Like what can you do with this?
Oh, say it's really nothing. I mean, one, it's all in gibberish, ancient elvish. You'd have to be very, very old to make any use of it. Beyond that, it's all incomplete. It doesn't have any rituals on it. Just, I mean, really, it's historic. It has historical value and historical significance. But he himself wouldn't imagine it. Like it's incomplete,
And
very complete.
if it were complete, what could you do with it?
It was complete, then couldn't begin to guess, but probably something to do with the comet and the powers of outer object, the celestial, planar alignments, that sort of thing. He seems to not really. I mean, he's a scholar, archaeologist, more than. I mean, he's in a strong say, suppose you could do anything. What do you have in mind? Something like that.
Well, the lizards want it. I want to know why they want it. I don't intend to do anything with this myself.
The fact that they know we have it, That's concerning by itself. Are you sure they know what it is?
I don't think they even know that they are being manipulated.
Zeta stares slightly blankly at the dragon. All right.
Suffice to say that should they attack, which they will, I will intend to intervene on your behalf, as arranged. But I do not think that these lizard folk are just a mere horde of lizard folk. They are too guided to strange goals that would benefit a particular other power that I am aware of, which perhaps you could assist with in the future, or else it will be the next thing trying to destroy you.
It certainly does praise our Master Ogma to see others being willing to throw so many lives to attempt to gain what we have. It is a dedication to learning you rarely see.
My dedication merely stems from the fact that I intend to make use of everything and everyone you have amassed here, and that would be very difficult if all of you were dead.
Notice that as well.
I am sure you will agree that this is a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yes, we understand there's been difficulties in the past, but so far you've acted well enough, I suppose. When all is said and done, this place will still stand, and the knowledge we have gained, or that you have gained, or that they have stolen, will have come at a price. Price that had to be paid, one way or the other. And that will mean that they have earned it. If we fail to defend it, then we die. Then we do so to make sure they pay what is right.
Your motivations bore me.
I'll charge you for them next time, then.
We'll give the Ogmite a confused look before just leaving again. Audacity of these people.
How dare they be empowered by a greater deity to give you the middle finger?
How dare they think that that matters?
Oh, shit. Because they have something everyone else wants.
If you steal the thing that they have and you get away with it without having lost anything, then clearly you don't respect the knowledge. But if you're willing to throw all your friends on the pyre for it, then, maybe you'll appreciate what you learn.
Yes, but what if it isn't your friends, but just an entire species you use?
Ogma is not a good deity.
Oh.
No, just saying, like, to the Death King, like, he's not sacrificing anything.
Well, they have value.
Do they?
Every resource has a value, right?
Very low.
But yeah,
Only do what they can do.
On the way out, Halling will throw a gesture to the Black Dragon, who has yet to introduce herself, I believe, and head off towards the Dragonfane.
She hasn't introduced herself again.
Oh, she has.
We'll follow. Oh, she hasn't.
Oh, she hasn't. Yeah.
No. She's forgotten that.
I mean,
she already knew who Vignith was.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why Vignith didn't introduce himself, because he expects that at this point.
Yeah. The other dragon will follow, and a little quiet, reaching the Dragonfane, but we'll want to look around. Maybe stay here for a bit. Seems fine. Seems like Stavako can call upon her whenever needed.
Yeah. Yeah, Vignith will... I guess, briefly gesture around. Basically, it's hot over there. It's wet over there. That might be a better place for you to stay. And yeah, there you go. But he himself will probably be fairly busy because we're gonna have to go fight some lizards soon. Bunch of preparations to be made.
Well, beyond that, he will find, having the Black Dragon stay here, that she isn't really acting as much like a dragon as he might expect. Her nature clearly is somewhat suppressed, and you'll learn that she has been a familiar for the most of her life, until she grew bigger than a familiar, sort of, she sort of grew out of it. And then after that, she was a research assistant dragon, and then, a dragon mount for a powerful wizard. He's never really just been a dragon, living like a dragon would. It's always been
What
associated
cult
with
is this?
the cult of the dragon, obviously. It's always
A
been associated
mount?
with the cult. And has been, yeah, working with the cult to further their aims. Was raised in it from an egg.
Yeah, the cult of the dragon isn't just like the insane cultists who want to get eaten, but also smarter people who, still think dragons might be awesome, but mostly think dragons are useful.
And is an immensely powerful faction across, like, Faerun.
Yeah.
But it's so offensive to my dragon.
Like, it's not a matter of whether it's allowed, she exclaimed.
It's like being a centaur and people be like, oh, it's like a horse. It's like, what the
Well,
what are you talking about?
the cult works very much in like cell splinter groups. Basically, it's united by a common goal and philosophy. There's certainly on the Sword Coast a lot more coherence between the different cells than there here. Though you're certainly not sure who is sort of the top person over there. Neither is this dragon. Bill's Age has been working, helping build a citadel around the old dragon graveyard to be a shrine to Tiamat, a stronghold for them.
I mean, I have no objections to that.
Yeah, and Malignant is somewhat of a symbol. I mean, he's he's a member of the cult ostensibly. He's a anointed servant of Tiamat in a way that dragons generally aren't. So
Yeah.
there is quite a bit of stardom there. Dragon who will sort of try to be around him and ask his advice on things, the proper way in thinking of sort of dragon philosophy.
Sure. Velignov is known as somewhat of a philosopher, I'm sure. No, he's not. But he will give straightforward answers to whatever he thinks. Probably very blunt, too.
I mean, it's clear the dragon interprets them as perhaps being more meaningful than they are.
Probably.
All right. Does anyone else have anything they want to get to?
See some activity in the world?
Activity in the world. Yeah.
I do want to act before the lizards too, but I don't want to just...
I'm gonna throw you off a window.
Yeah. Just let's have some stuff happen before I do more things.
All right. Yeah. In Westgate, Thayan's acting quickly. Because these Cyric cultists are here and they're here to be destroyed. They need to be just decimated. And the Church of Bane, out of that, the nobles here are quite tired of these Cyric cultists, and so is the Black Fleet. So there will be straight up attacks upon the. I think we can. Yeah. I assume the Marked is not going to jump in to help them, neither are the other factions. They have not been good at making friends. Well, they do put up a fight. as they're being struck down. They're not leaving either. Smart people would, but that's not them. They're crazy people.
Maybe Ares. What Ares faction's doing is hoping that the Black Fleet of Fae is weakened enough that she can strike it. She's muted, but she's nodding. I know it.
No, no, no. Both Ari and her dragon are very tired. So unless there's something immediately happening, they're just gonna be
As the
spectating for a bit here.
as the Church of Bane will take back their house.
Ah. The insult avenged.
Yes, stomping out these. The rivers, though, are looking out because something is happening in Akhma and in the Temple of Akhma. They're interested in that. Some of them are here. They're actually sort of looking out of the city right now. Not too interested with internal politics. There's knowledge in there they would like too. Yeah, the Temple of Akhma already acted. They have initiated their book translation again. The aid of a person. Zambia doesn't celebrate the loss of the Hungarian king. Really, they don't celebrate much these days. It's a very somber place under the shadow. People have grown pale, and sort of slightly withered, ghostly, some would say. The cities are oddly still. Yeah, Zambia. Apparently, though, the people who live there, I mean, that's just the way things are. The Red Banner host. Sort of leaderless right now. They were in Westgate. It was a good time. They've been to Tizir. They've been around the world.
For decades, like their children and their children's children.
At this point, it might be time to find some better planes, though. These ones are getting awfully civilized. Soft targets turning into harder targets. The only bridge around here, though, is the one in Reddenseer. They'll position themselves closer. Really fancy charging all those ballistae and such, but it's on the way. They will be anticipating should anything happen there. Captain's Council, the Pirate Isle, as it were. Just sort of hanging out. News will be, though, that the ships have been disappearing at sea, with no real sight. Beyond that, a single rumor will be that an iron pillar has appeared somewhere in the sea, and that if you see it, well, you're never going to escape to tell the tale. Question is, though, whoever told that tale. Englisbach will continue his fight, his war, and will succeed somewhat in actually taking over a dwarven hold over here for the giants. Moving closer and wanting to strike no more at the Turby sort of back area, but wanting the capital, which is sort of out of sight, but on our map. But he's moving towards it at a steady pace. Though mostly keeping to the mountains for now, having not done his decisive strike. The Black Network is working. They're earning money. They're pretty happy with how things are turning out. Sarah got taken care of. They didn't have to do anything. That's pretty ideal. They don't mind the Thayans either. They, in fact, are good for business, really. They pay people rather well. Church of Bane, yeah, they also pay people rather well. Overall, they're pretty satisfied. So is Sethiston, really, with the current situation. He doesn't have much of a problem with it, though. He knows the Thayans might be a problem in the future. They will also inform that now that the King of Cormyr is gone, the Shadow War will begin to prepare for another attack. It is about time we do something more. Even if this time it might be more from the shadows. Certainly because Sembia's manpower has begun dwindling due to the constant darkness. Not good for crops. Then we have Tizir. Is actually this year, look at that. There's no invasion. There's no. Things aren't super horrible. I mean, there's lizard folk there, but they're not coming for Tizir, nor is the Rip Banner host, nor is Velignith. It's all working out for Tizir. They will send some more support to the Cormyrian expedition, hoping to extend their protection. They're pretty happy with how this worked out now. Dan's host is seeing the Red Banner host up here, and you know what? Dan doesn't really want them to come down here, because he's pretty sure that if they do, his host might just be absorbed forcefully. Thus, he will move his people up here and be ready to perhaps even try to stop them coming over the bridge. That's not something he's interested in. He thinks they belong in the north here.
Absolutely. He doesn't want to go back. Not again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he remembers the good years be good here. Yeah. The Thunderhome are really doing fairly well as well. Things have calmed down a bit. You know, Velignith hasn't threatened them for a year or so. They're continuing to operate with Elbasalt. They still would like this underground passage to get done, but they're still operating in the deep hold. There's a little bit of a fraction there, but their sovereignty has actually gotten a lot better. So they're going to try to map out the in-between passage. And fail. Oh well. They sent an expedition basically, but they hit upon a lot of sulfuric pools, and they know that people can be sent through, but clearing out the area and sort of making it traversable is difficult. Hoping perhaps still to, I mean, if the Red Banner host continues to live up here, that makes really their passage down south much more valuable. Of course, if they knew about
Yes.
it might be a further complication, but one thing at a time. Gives them
Yeah.
something to do.
Let trade flow through here as was promised at the start of the campaign.
Yeah.
Zero risk.
Someday. The Emerald Enclave will, well, they will attempt to consolidate and improve their culture here, and they will just bring their people together. Succeeding.
Oh yeah, they integrate those people to Black Blood very nicely, Link.
Yeah, it's not too difficult. Then they will turn their eyes to the Fellowship of the Purple Staff. Sure, civilization is not what Malar preaches, but Sylvanas doesn't have a great opinion about it, really a lot of things. So let's try to bring them into the fold. Let's enlarge in this faction even more. Influence and treasure to who's well, it's success, but is it enough to convince them? It is not. There's an attempt made to bring them in, but they resist a little bit. There's some doubts as to whether this will serve the best, the Enclave is maybe not in the best position to give guarantees of safety for the small cities here in the north. Beyond that, of course, there's also the Blue Dragon to worry about attacking Termish. The Enclave has not stepped in to support Termish, and that makes these settlements, well, primarily settlements from Termish, somewhat unhappy. Still, they managed to gain sovereignty, and if nothing else, have made their intentions clear as to what happens next. They are becoming a
Alright.
regional hegemon.
Yes. Nature strikes back.
Nathlan, they have problems at this point. There's an undeniable one, which is that their growth is stifled by these savage beasts in the south. And they're going to try to make an actual investigation of what in the world is going on. It's quite clear that something is. It's quite clear that something savage is. And this information is not really secret, but I'll make it an espionage anyway. What's happening? Oh yeah, someone put a drop of Milaris blood into the river. How do you solve that? Is the question. Well, you don't really have a great answer to that. Ideally, you would do with the powers of an Ubanian, but that's somewhat been
Strained.
Yeah. That said, their young heir has some power, and well, so it's weird. They will begin trying to fix this beast problem. The beasts can be fought, though never tamed, and if given time and some time to research, they might be able to make a ritual that can actually sort of solve this problem somehow. They've been skipping turns left and right for it, so I think it'll start by policing their territory, just trying to establish some means of control. Oh my, that is a lot of
Point
sixes.
2+6.
That's a lot of sixes. Jesus Christ.
5 6s. So
What does it even mean?
it means that they are right there.
Lightning fast. It's like thought crime. You think about doing it, and suddenly they're there on you. What's up?
Yeah,
Things just like personally carries you to have a conversation.
I think that's pretty good at hunting down beasts. That's very hard to argue against. Does cost them a point. And they will attempt to regain the territory they have lost from it. I guess it's like a, what would it even be like? Territory treasure, probably? Just try to ritualize something. A 3 is not high enough. They attempt to do a ritual to cleanse the river. It's big, and maybe it lessens it for a bit, but it is not enough to fix the problem. Even as their patrols and such are hunting down like great beasts and whatnot. Perhaps Malar is even pleased, as his beasts are forcing them to hunt. That is sort of the purpose of them, but yeah.
They have to watch their lands. Even the goats might break out of the
Oh yeah.
start stampeding over people.
Vicious.
Da-da-da.
The great tribe will begin to have actually appeared, mashing their behemoths, stomping around. Remarkably, they operate at night pretty much exclusively, preferring to find caverns and such, shelters, setting up giant tents and such, whatever it's daylight. They don't like the sun. Pleasant for them. Beyond that, they like to stick to the water, keeping themselves nice and sort of moistened and being rather good swimmers. The two will move up here, closer to the Temple of Ogma. within sight at times, spending the year basically just getting used to surface existence. It is not easy for them to exist here after having never really been to the surface before. Their behemoths also do not adapt super well here the first year. That said, they watch the walls, and the amount of behemoths they have, of most kinds, well, those walls might not stand much of a chance should the grand charge be declared. Yes, it would appear that Redens here finds itself on the attention of currently 4 other factions. Though, I mean, the End's host wants to stop people from crossing the river, that still doesn't mean necessarily that he cares about the monastery. It's on the northern side, after all.
Yeah, I think with the lizards having made a bit of their move, Valigna would like to, I think, continue influencing them. Like, perhaps even spreading the fact that this is not the first time a prophet has suddenly appeared and led their people to a strange, basically borderline nonsensical goal that only makes sense for the real puppet master. So they should be really careful and maybe not escalate this. That's like sort of the message that Willing wants to spread. Which I believe is influence and treasure. Yeah, I'm tempting to.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate it's totally like when like the realm of like draconic thought, like this easily can be conveyed to them. How stupid they are.
Double of wands again.
They will understand that they are being manipulated and controlled, and they will all just die.
The lizard folk will go there and talk. Of course, it's not secret he's trying to do this, and so they will return saying that that the Chosen has offered to just talk with Velignith about this.
Really? I mean, if he wants to come to the Dragon Fane, then sure.
Would have to bring all the people, though. There's a place that they can meet by the.
Neutral place? Yeah, Valigna's into that. I mean, it'll be hard to convince him, but he was in the exact same spot a while ago, so maybe shared experience and such. Like, Valigna might be ever so slightly fond of the lizard folk just for how straightforward they are, really. And they like big things, and that's something he can appreciate.
Sure,
They'd
you'll
be
go.
very useful. Yeah.
You just do it on this map, I figure. As he goes, it'll be night. Otherwise, the Chosen does not come out at day. The Chosen is very pale, it is said, and the daylight sun is a cursed, scorching thing. Their people should not have to suffer. Chosen has said that maybe someday they will be able to expand the darkness that will cloud the whole world and make it all black so that their people can really prosper. Samyana would be pleased by that. The meeting place is some distant from the nearest camp. There's probably some skin wings flying above. They seem to have taken well to the large sky, though stupid as they are, you know. They've hunted some of the lesser things around. Good for scouting. Lizard folk seem to enjoy riding mounts. Certainly it seems to be the same for the Chosen. Riding a sort of massive, what seems to be an albino, sort of a, well, trihorn, really.
I like Trihounds. They're good listeners.
Chosen is a lizard folk, quite clearly. Painted with what seems to be matted blood as face paint. It's probably something that's reapplied, if not once a day, several times a day. He does remember the lizard folk have a sort of a ritual cannibalism going on where, well, if you eat your ancestors, you become part of them. It's quite likely that this Chosen has probably eaten ancestors of every clan. That might certainly help engender them to show the person respect. Beyond that, they're very pale, with sharp red eyes and a sort of a deathly aura. Give me a Arcana check as you see this person.
29.
I'll say they're brimming with arcane power, almost sort of overflowing. If he detects magic, he just sees a sort of as an unlimited power moment.
Oh no.
Beyond
Alright.
that, the lizard folk does not carry a weapon. Rather, their tips of his fingers are elongated instead of long, thin claws. The chosen sits upon a bloodthirster, the behemoth, and will allow Velignith to approach in sort of a clearing. Perhaps the moon is out with a couple clouds over it. It's darkness generally covering the land.
Velignith will approach.
Susan doesn't seem to have the ability to fly.
Hope not. He'll inspect the lizard folk and his mount for just a second before he says, I was surprised by your offer to meet to talk. As far as I remember the stories about Samiana and the concerns of the lizard folk, your ancestors had some bad experiences with dragons that they still carry around with them.
Susan nods and says, Samiana wants us to prosper, and we do, in spite of your kind. It is perhaps more right to say that your kind had some bad experiences with our ancestors. After all, they were banished and perished, while we survived and prospered.
I'm sure you've also heard that I have had no such intentions. It's quite the opposite. I've taken a few of yours under my wings, so to speak, and they too prosper these days.
Yes. And to others you have delivered metallic weapons. This is something I can see a value in, a great value. It is not how we traditionally have done things, but coming to the surface as well as breaking with tradition. I wanted to inquire about more of such metallic weapons. Enough to outfit this host.
That is a possibility, however, I have concerns. First of all, you're attempting to acquire a document, a script, a whatever you want to call it.
Chosen slightly nods and says, yes.
For what reason?
It is required.
How do you know about it?
I have seen it. Well, not exactly it, but something like it. And I think that such things could further empower my kind. We are not a learned species. We do not write things down. It is not our way. But others do, foolishly so. We might be able to read it, to understand it, to gain the power it hides.
Do you know its contents, what it is about?
For shape, by the way, you have a passive insight enough that that's not the entire truth.
Yeah.
I do not.
You see, your motivation puts us unfortunately at odds for the Orgmites, the inhabitants of the place you are intending to attack are in the process of performing a service for me. Your interference would be most annoying.
See?
If you wish to buy them time, We can delay in exchange for the weapons and armors we need. They
No,
can finish with you, and then we will destroy them all.
I don't think so. There are things I am not understanding here. You see, there has been a, quite frankly, ridiculous series of prophets and visions appearing to all manner of people and creatures of different faiths within the valley and below it. I have tracked down its source, for in fact I was a recipient of one of those, trying to push me to do something that seemed reasonable at the time, but in closer examination just attempted to further the goals of a puppet master. I have concerns that there's a similar thing afoot here.
Yeah, looks totally. Oh no, I assure you, I'm quite in the know of my own actions.
Is he? Can I do an insight what he thinks about what do you say?
Yeah, sure, roll.
Insight is my best stat as it turns out.
Yeah, it seems that this being currently has a glint in its eye. It has an idea of who you speak of, and seems to maybe know what's actually going on.
Okay.
Leans forward slightly and says, I am no fool. I understand well the bargain I have made, but it will empower my people. An ally of this kind has freed us from the mind enslavers below, from the hell we once lived above. And although urgency has pushed us to move, I will create for us a new destiny, a greater one that Samyana can be pleased with.
Linus shakes his head sadly as he says, I have spent years and decades trying to, well, quite frankly, court some of your kind with relationships, trades, trying to explain to them that I too could lead you to a better future if you were to work together with me. And now I realize that apparently all it took was the mad motivations of some insane being bent on the death of everyone. I am worried that, while your motivations make sense to me, you are too trusting. This creature I have stood in front wants its own kind to succeed. It wants death, undeath, presumably. I fear that you might just be a mere tool to spread destruction to places.
The vampiric lizard folk leans forward and says, Death is not such a hindrance to those of us who are willing to work with it.
I
My
understand.
people will prosper, and the greatest amongst them will become immortal, so that they can further guide our people forever. I will not die. In fact, I cannot die. I cannot be destroyed. Thus, we cannot fail. Your power is substantial. Your kind are mighty, strong as the behemoths, but wise as we are. You have been blessed by whatever gods you serve. We have been given fewer of such benefits, and so if we have to acquire some of our own, so we will.
Ragnar nods slightly as he says, It appears you have made your decision then.
As to my alliances, yes, though I do not see a reason we could not work together. Perhaps you too have something you wish from this place. We could both gain what we desire.
Perhaps we could, but sadly, the entity you're serving. There are reasons that you do not need to know that put us at eternal odds. There's no way I can work together with your puppet master who pulls your strings.
You do not understand him. His power he has access to. It is unlimited, in the truest sense of the word. Sort of, and you notice the bristle of magical energy this lizard folk has been given power over. He can channel it, send it, deliver it, as in a well that does not empty. His power is immense. There is no resisting. Why not gain from submission? It is in your best interest as well.
I know the secrets, I know the source, I know where it is. I also know that I am connected to this source in a way that I would like not to be. So consider this. You are choosing to align yourself with something that cares not for what you are, which puts you at odds with me, who does care, who does know this infinite source you speak of, who has I think you've made up your mind. This talk is pointless. But should you have new thoughts, I'm sure you will manage to get a message to me. If not, it appears we will face each other soon enough.
He looks at Malignith, trying to figure him out, basically. Saying, I do not understand you. You will not tell me everything there is to know, and your actions do not make sense. We wish to purchase from you your weapons and armor. We do not wish to fight you, and you would fight to keep us from receiving papers. Says it as if paper certainly isn't in his native language.
The papers
Worthless to us, really.
I can give you two reasons. One, I will never, ever not oppose whoever your puppet master controls, which in this case is you. And two, the papers you're attempting to acquire are very relevant to my entire kind. And while they might just be papers by themselves, if they were united with presumably their counterpart, the effects on not just myself, my kind, and the entire world really would be substantial, to the point where whatever future you see for your lizard folk would most likely simply be, well, as casualties.
Casualties are regrettable, but in the course we have chosen, they are also inevitable. I have killed innumerable of my kind already to unite the tribes as I have. It has taken me more than a decade to do, and it was only made possible with the aid of the Lord of Death.
One could argue that it should have been Samyana who empowered you and not some third force, now should it?
Samyana gave me the will to go through with it. There was doubt at first.
And you're sure it was, in fact, Samyana, not said manipulation I talked about earlier?
It matters not if what happens is Samyana's will, and Samyana wishes us only to prosper.
Very well, then. This talk is over. Consider my words. You will not attack the temple of the Ogmites, or you shall face myself. And then William flies away.
That is, will you fight and die for them? Or simply fight?
William stops. I think you're overestimating your chances, underestimating me at the same time, and also placing your trust in the wrong entity. You're making so many mistakes that you shouldn't. That you shouldn't need to. I've tried, however.
Well, not clearly not understanding for his priorities, but accepting that it can't really influence them.
There's no way he changes his mind.
Yeah.
The restraint of Valiknif to not just attack this entity that's chosen.
I mean, the main reason is because there's a hesitation because the Death King wants death. So the longer Valiknif can delay that, the better. Of course, it's seeming a bit futile considering that stopping the lizards isn't gonna be done without any of that. So in the end, he does sort of win, but I don't know. How do you convince a zealous fanatic that he's leading his people to their doom? You don't.
Certainly a red dragon can't do that.
No.
I'll kill all your people, then we'll reveal your truth to you. And the death you will see.
I mean,
All right.
Sorry, go ahead. I don't need to ramble.
All right. I'm gonna. The Agamites are a bit too far away for me to directly reach, but I'm going to have the faction my company, which has otherwise not done anything this year, start to work on the Temple of Agma. They are some distance away. They've not reached out to contact. But the Agmites, she figures that her minions need to start convincing them for their shape-shifting powers that maybe the Agmites should consider moving. That, they have all of this knowledge, and in the process of acquiring it in the fighting, like, that stuff can get destroyed. Like, is it really worth standing your ground up there if, like, a third of your books get burned in the process? You gotta, like, transport that somewhere else. Kinda, like, protect it. Maybe reach out to someone. Might be willing to help on that matter. It's gotta move. Too many other powers around. It's not like Cormier can come save you. So yeah, I think that's what she's gonna have her company try to do. To begin like changing the mindset of the Ogmites that maybe just standing there and dying isn't the best strategy.
Sounds like an influence role.
Influence and treasure. Away we go. Is she gonna help on this? Absolutely not. That sounds like work. Triple nines, triple fours.
Oh boy. That's well, the discussion comes up, right? Some say, well, we should go and join the people in Candlekeep. But then all the old people look at them and say, but they give knowledge out so cheaply. Which is almost heretical. Can't go there. Well, there's the village of Redwater, but that's not really any better. Here they at least have like a keep. So I suppose the next question is where would they want to move? To Westgate? No, it's full of thieves. Go anywhere in Cormier? Cormier would try to take knowledge as rent, basically. Where's better than a fortified location?
You know, the Dragonfane is quite spacious these days.
There is better than a fortified location.
Yeah.
What if it was a different fortified location located elsewhere?
Yeah, like
Another castle.
in a mountain.
Yeah, what if it were another castle? No, not in a mountain. That's dumb. You'll have no access to travelers giving you books there. What if it were on a coastline that travelers had to stop at?
See what you're thinking.
The price of resupply was knowledge.
Mm-hmm. There's some benefits to it. Starmantle did have a reputation for being a scholarly place. They do have good experience with the Missouri before. Of course, it does take somewhat of their independence away.
It absolutely would. It wasn't a demand so much as the espionage was to put the idea in their mind that maybe the loss of independence is worth more than the inevitable attack that's coming from multiple sides.
Yeah, it's they will. There's a slight Is Malignant also gonna deal with the Red Banner host?
Is that a question or a question
Yeah,
they're asking themselves?
It's a slight. I mean, if he visits, it's like if he has heard of the centaurs amassing to the north as well.
I mean, he said what he said. He'll protect them as best he can, as long as they do work for him. That deal still stands.
We need to translate slower. All right, yeah.
It's based on a deal made in good faith, of course. So if they pull bullshit like that, that might change things.
Can't ask too much for prices either. All right. All right. Yeah, I think that's the year. Arius, anything you want to do? I understand you were very tired.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right.
Makes sense the Marked might sit this year out because the Shadowvar are gearing up to fight Cormier next year.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think also Vesicatrix is probably not feeling great. I imagine there's a lot of surfacing nightmares that she has to deal with for a little bit.
Because she had a terrible time, Wink.
Phrasing.
All right. Yeah, I'm good. I don't think the Verdant Eclipse will mostly sit this year out.
All right. As we have completed a goal, we've explored the old lair of the Maelstrom of Darkness.
No.
Yeah. We've worked a bit on the other ones, but then that XP tally. Calculate the total.
That means, Ari, the empty goal slot will be yours for next time.
Yes.
Three.
Next session, will sheep find the Earth motion?
Oh, I forgot about that. I should do that this year still.
Sure, do a roll.
Do a roll. Let's go, Arcana. Yay, that's not gonna work. Next year.
Looks around. He finds the one with copper again. He's like, I'm not gonna settle.
Not this one again.
It's like, no, not you. Stop it.
Dwarves are like, we found this really great place full of copper.
Never talk to me again.
Are you saying I'm a copper? Are you saying
say
I'm
copper
not
one more time.
Yeah. Then he sees Ovisterlix's old laird screams.
Iron. Why did he get iron?
If only electricity and plumbing were more widespread, then I would see the value in copper. But right now, no.
Yeah.
Sure. Plumbing.
Plumbing
We're,
dragon.
we're getting close to level 20, I'll say.
Yeah,
All these things. Yeah, we are.
good.
Maybe next session.
What does level 20 bring?
A feat
Level 20 brings the last level of this.
and Paragon. I think a Paragon ability.
From our Paragon classes, we will
Yeah.
have an ability.
I'm into epic stories. I think things are beginning to shape up though. For that.
Um,
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I do appreciate Valignus like dogged like the red dragon is trying to like communicate with lesser creatures. And his way is best. And these lesser creatures are like, why would we like follow the words of a red dragon?
I mean,
I will eat you.
you know, he's fond of them. They are interesting. They've been useful. Just killing them will be like, you know, instant gratification. But over the course of his life, he has learned that that's not always the way.
He was given many years to sit and think about that in a sky cell.
Yeah.
That certainly won him some calm.
I do appreciate though, like his intended thought that if I could just make the lesser creatures see reason, like it just there's a way I can explain this that will unlock like their brains. They'll be like, "You're right, Valignus."
I mean, in his mind, he truly believes that if dragons rule everything, then you know they'll be happy. I mean, not the dragons, but like the things under them too. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, we're the best. We can make proper use of you.
You show your place in society. Keeps you there for your own safety and comfort.
Here's the thing, right? It's not a lie. Like, if all these lizardmen hosts was like, you know what, Valignus, he should be the dragon ruler of lizard folk kind, they probably would prosper.
I mean, there's only two options, right? Either you follow a dragon and prosper, or you don't follow a dragon and get killed in the process of putting dragons in power everywhere.
Or you don't follow the dragon and slay the dragon, as Simiano would probably approve of.
That's not an option.
Because currently their leader is actually sort of conscious of what's going on here. Being used is okay as long as you are used by the person who's going to win in the end. It's about where you put your bets, and then you get to be the great lizardman chosen.
Yeah, this chosen, Valignus would not have given this chosen like enough power to like that would sort of ripple off of his body.
Yeah, like, he can't offer that.
On the bright side, if Cinnamon wants to, like...
Well, here's the thing, not an actual chosen.
No, I know, but I mean...
Not an actual chosen.
Before it sucks out the energy from him? I don't
Pretty sure Cinder Moon's gonna know.
Probably. Saying, evil being, lots of power she could suck out.
Evil? Cinder Moon doesn't care about evil.
She does not.
Cinnamon is like as chaotic neutral as it gets, I think.
Oh, that, no, I don't even know.
Yeah.
That
No, you take that 3x3 alignment system, you set it on fire. She's anti, like, blue flame.
Oh, you know what we do? We plant a blue flame banner in the lizard cave. They're like, oh my god, look, they all want to see the world burn in blue flame.
We find the
I
black.
have a way.
Yeah, we find the black obelisk in the Sea of Fallen Stars, rumoredly, and we drop it in the middle of their camp.
Let's unite all of our enemies into one big faction. How about that? Sounds like a good. What could go wrong?
Wait, this changes everything. Wait a second. So Valigraph keeps finding copper, right?
Mm-hmm.
What color does copper turn fire into if you burn it? Take a guess.
Green.
It's blue.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, it's greenish, but it's also sort of blue.
It's mostly green though, right?
But it's also sort of blue.
All right. Sure.
Uh-huh. And
Yeah.
green, blue. If you're
Yeah.
colorblind, you might not be able to see
Yeah.
the difference.
Yeah, but you probably can't use that to trick the epic tier character that someone is spell scarred.
But that's gotta be used for all this copper.
I mean, you could make bronze and then sell that to the lizard.
No, like,
Uh,
what is this? The Bronze Age?
yeah.
I mean, they have stone clubs mostly, so it's an upgrade.
Yeah. I do appreciate the Ogmite's steadfast dedication, but I also do wonder now that, as they see like centaurs and hobgoblins and giant lizards and behemoths, that maybe their ballista can't shoot down everything.
No, it's troublesome, you know. These lizard folk came out of nowhere. Like who even like
Who knew?
it didn't seem like there were so many of them, but now suddenly there's like a lot of them, and a lot of red banner hosts too. Somehow the red banner host is not the worst thing around. That is just a strange thought for them to have. And
Worrisome, honestly.
it's
Somehow
like,
the dragon may not be. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Strong maybe. Who knows? I mean, the dragon could be manipulating these lizard folk. That idea was considered with L to like lizard folk to attack that place.
The Red Dragon is the best thing that ever happened to Redensir.
It's absolutely not.
It's unquestionably so.
I'm just saying, like, Mountain Spire, Coastal Keep. Location, location, location.
yeah, I mean, honestly, there's benefits to either. The Dragon Fane isn't a terrible location for something like this.
It
I mean,
isn't.
like
It gets
it has
visitors.
it has place. I mean, the problem is that it's also a dedicated shrine to Tiamat. But then again, the other one is dedicated to
No.
Lar, which is not a great sort of knowledge and building things deity either.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tiamat appreciates hoarding things, right?
Yeah. Tiamat is greedy, right? Like, that's sort of like the thing. So, like, you can't have the knowledge separate from her. It's got to be in the Fang.
Exactly. Like there's overlaps, non-significant, non-insignificant overlaps.
That erodes at their independence.
Like no one can have the knowledge ever, ever. You can't even share it for money.
And think of all the visitors the dragon fans get, like influential and knowledgeable dragons. Like they've got like magnitudes better books than any traveler will have.
Yeah, and that knowledge goes straight to Tiamat's hoard, not
Yeah.
your library.
I mean,
That's a problem.
It's basically all the same thing, right?
It's not the same thing.
It could be.
The world is her hoard.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
Besides, Malar is a lesser deity. Agma is a greater deity. Like, Malar isn't even independent. He's in the service of, like, in Sylvanas.
who, much like Ogma, has very specific things he cares about, and most things he doesn't. It's really useful when you have a deed. You get to be sort of unconcerned with most things.
Yeah, though, the Overgod did impose upon all of the deities after the time of troubles that they had to care more about their worshippers.
Yeah. Can't be mean. You have to help them when you're able. It's a strange time.
It is a strange time. The epic Tyr Corberian king is dead!
Yeah. Imagine. Oh.
Oh,
the great
no.
king.
Isaac Howard brings up a good point in this chat. Is Valignus scheming?
I mean, he's not scheming. It's not like he's like doing deception and all that. He's just trying to go things about things slowly.
It's totally not complicated, guys.
It's actually pretty complicated, and I'm getting tired of it.
Oh, shit. I do want to say, though, before the group disperses, that I did enjoy Worshikatrix's, like, biggest, like, character, like, reveal roleplay stuff this session.
Yeah, it's good.
Finally having to admit to someone the truth.
This is very painful.
Yeah, well, it's probably less painful saying that stuff to Valignith, even though he insulted her by saying, yes, I know it was a terrible time.
Oh, it sounds like a bad time.
You're like, fucking excuse me.
Like this motherfucking young dragon. Doesn't even know anything. He thinks he knows pain. He knows nothing.
Shit. But probably still better than him than the Green Dragon.
Yeah, the Green Dragon is very smug.
Yeah, no, that's smug bitch.
Just like the cicatrix is.
I know, look at her face. She's...
They're very much alike sometimes. It's like you would want to tell this to Celestine, like a black dragon. You should never hear the end of it. Like, no.
Or you would hear the end of it, but you would know every time you looked into those eyes.
No, he wouldn't have to say anything. He's just like,
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Then again, he was turned to sludge, so, you know.
Really got the worst end of that stick.
He got the worst end.
You know?
He was probably the only one who could say, I had it worse than you, were Cicatrix.
Well, I mean, he was alive, like unlike all the other ones, I suppose. So, yes.
Oh, at some point, it was better to just go.
Yeah. You know.
Be turned into goop and swallowed and living with your worst enemy.
Well, the fact that the worst enemy isn't Yarful always tells you. Clearly has not suffered as much.
It says a lot that his worst enemy isn't Yaffle, it's true.
Yeah, but like, really? My dude?
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I guess you haven't been through enough. You haven't matured yet.
I mean, like, as far as he should be concerned, that I slayed his worst enemy.
It's true.
Yeah.
You did.
I've never asked anything of him.
No. But why would you? That he thinks that person was an irredeemable, terrible, terrible monster.
Yeah, I did everyone a service.
Who had annoyed him forever since
Except for
he ever moved to this area. So, and who ended up raiding his hoard and eating his body. So, you know.
All right, dear viewers. Ari and Sheep are both tired. Manikai is as well because the sun went down. Next time, how will the Temple of Agma survive what's about to come? Between the lizards, the Red Banner host, potentially the Rippers if they see weakness, considering how strong they are, Valignus, Imizure Ledrathir, and any other opportunist that's out there.
So we'll one started.
Yeah. As
Everyone's
war
sitting
kicks back
there.
up in the north, war is going to kick down here in the most unlikely destination, Redency.
What is the
Right
price
in
of
front of
knowledge?
my door.
Right. What is the price of knowledge?
Oh. That's a good tagline there.
You know, I'm just thinking if Valignus burned down every significant place and faction in the vicinity, then they couldn't be the center of future shitstorms.
True.
Yeah. You just pull like a curveball on Manikai and everyone else by attacking Tazir next session.
You know what, Tazir? How dare you
he
watch
hasn't
from a
said
distance?
that he wouldn't do it this year.
Shit, I love that. You're like,
Plans to do it, but
Yeah,
Yep.
he didn't have plans to.
he's like, Ari, can I take your goal slot? I got one of my own. Burn Tazir to ash. Like,
Yes, I need
shoot.
level right now.
Well, that's a hard goal.
Oh.
No, you see that this lizard chosen knows that Valignus knows something, and if Valignus attacks Tazir, then he's going to defend Tazir because clearly, yeah, okay, I
suddenly
don't know.
the lizards have allied with Comir and are fighting Nathlan. And
Even though they want the
no.
darkness to cover the world, so they don't have to deal with the sun.
how does this happen? Just alliance cascades.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Well,